Yeah, I heard you when you said start off
Okay.
the
Whoa, are you
show.
excited?
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked actually now that it's working.
I am super excited because you were saying a lot of really mean things about me on Twitter.
Okay, so I knew you
Really
were gonna
mean.
say
Even
that.
meaner than the average Quebecian.
Wait. I knew you were gonna say that. Did you ignore my
I think
tweet
I
that
will
said
just roll a
it
d20.
was perceivable in a way that you're pro pedophilia, or you probably ignored that. I said, or if you have a bias against the skeptics and said they didn't have an argument before listening to the whole stream, you could just admit that.
Wait, what? Can you say that again? I'm sorry.
I can go find a tweet. I said, to me, you saying that no argument was made when a lot of good ones were made, to me, that implied that or you're unconvincible or you didn't actually listen to the arguments before you said there was no good arguments that was made.
Oh, so I listened to I went back and I re-listened to because I talked to that Jeff guy quite a bit. I went back and I re-listened to the Jeff video, and in the beginning of that video, for the first like 5 or 10 minutes, he makes some pretty good arguments. When I listened to it before, I was linked like halfway
What?
through, and I listened to two different like 20-minute sections that were really dumb. So I thought that the whole thing was like about that, but I went back and re-listened to the start, and I thought that everything he said at the beginning was pretty good. I said as much on Twitter. I think I said to Jeff that he was pretty good at the beginning.
But exactly that's the thing. I didn't see the follow up.
Oh, well, I'm sorry you didn't see it.
Well, that's why I said if you just didn't watch it and then like I said that, but your mob was already spamming me, so I don't even know if you saw it.
Oh, I might have. I think I blocked you pretty quickly though, because you were talking a lot of shit. But I'm not sure if I saw it or not. Um,
Mm,
but I think there's more than that, right? It seems like we had a whole lot of disagreements about a lot of things. No?
well, I'd like to know what you think I believe first of all,
I have no idea. I want to know what you think I believe. I
because
see. It looks like you threw around a lot of. I feel like we got a lot of that skeptic stuff going on in your tweets, but I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and look at exactly.
I'm a centrist as fuck. Like I'm very pro equality of opportunity, and that's kind of why I find it like harsh the way you try to paint it out like Christians are like gonna destroy the world and they're trying to kill all the babies and gays and shit.
Oh,
That's
no, well,
not.
I think Christians in the United States are pretty fucking disgusting. I mean, we can talk about Christian policy in the United States if you want, if that's
Yeah,
what you
yeah,
want to focus on.
yeah. That's what we decided on.
Oh, sure. Okay. Well, how do you feel
Well,
about.
Christianity and Islam, like basically.
Yeah, sure. So, how do you feel about Christians in the United States trying to prevent, like, sex education or access to contraception to teens when empirical data has pretty much proven that these things, like, improve outcomes for teens as far as, like, teenage pregnancy and stuff goes?
That's a big claim you're making there. What kind of sources do you have to prove that that's happening?
Wait, to prove that which one is happening? I'm sorry.
Well,
If I
you're
real
saying
quick,
that Christians want. You're
if I
saying
ever
that.
say something and you like disagree with it, you can just stop me immediately and we can go over a particular thing. Okay? I'm not trying to like say a
Yeah,
bunch of
yeah.
stuff. Okay?
If you
That's
can
cool.
walk around
By the
and
way,
you
this is my
believe,
first debate ever. I'm trying my best. So.
Yeah, that's fine. No, it's just a chat. It's not like a super debate. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, because I agree with you on a lot of things. It's just it's more so the tactics that you use.
Well,
You kind
we
of
can
like want
okay.
to win at all costs instead of
Well,
admitting.
I want to get as close to the truth at all costs, but we can talk about tactics later. So my initial statement was that I think that Christians advocate against like sex ed and whatnot in the United States, and that sex ed seems to help students like access to contraception and all that does. Which part of that did you disagree with?
I believe that like first of all, you're saying Christians are trying to stop that.
Mm-hmm.
To me, I would point out that it's probably more the older Christians that are trying to do that, like the
Okay.
baby boomers.
Sure.
Because like I have actually the statistics here. Where is it? Um, yeah, like most of the Christians are fucking boomers. I think it was like a 30 something percent. Where did I write it down? Sorry, this is really messy here. Yeah, do you realize though, like that basically the younger Christians aren't the same as the older Christians, right?
Yeah, I imagine that age probably plays a decent role into that.
Because like I went to check the Pew researches and um, most of like was it 54% say that homosexuality should be accepted. 54, yeah. 38 say it should be discouraged. 44 are pro same-sex marriage. 48 are against. 45% are pro legal abortions. 51% want it to be illegal in most cases. So to me, you're making it sound like all Christians want to stop sex ed and things like that. And me, the way I see it is, I think you're talking about more the older ones.
Sure, but there are two things going here. One, I'm just curious. Do you have the poll numbers for the standard population or for the non-Christian population? So, like, if you say, for instance, so like those numbers that you just gave me, if 55% are okay with gay marriage, but the general population or maybe non-Christians are like 80% okay for it, then those numbers are really bad. But if those are only like 2% off, then that's not a big deal. I'm just curious. I'm not trying to like
Well,
spotlight you or anything, but go ahead.
well, because where I'm trying to go with that is, the boomers are going to be dead soon.
Sure.
So basically, it's going to be young Christians only. So they've been raised having great gay friends. They've been raised having trans people on TV and things like that. So they're going to be more acceptant and used to these things than their predecessors, and so on and so forth, because the religion as is acceptant and it's moving in a accepting way,
Well,
compared
I mean,
compared to other
Christianity is
religions that
still not
aren't.
really accepting of gay people, right? By religious doctrine. I mean, like you
Well,
probably
actually, I,
sorry.
I, don't, I don't know. 54% say like that it should be accepted that there's homosexuals, and like only 10% think that they shouldn't get married. So I don't know.
Well, sure, but like what's like the standard population?
No, but we're talking about Christians right now. You're trying to say that all Christians are against homosexuality. You're
Okay,
trying to say
so
that to be a good you're trying to say that being against homosexuality is tied with Christianism, but it's not so much anymore.
okay, so
To be a good
firstly,
Christian, you don't have to be against gays.
okay, we got a lot of different claims in here. Okay, let's take it one
Yeah.
second. Okay, so firstly, I never said that all gays or all Christians were against gays. I've never said that,
Well,
right?
because you're making it sound like it's a Christian problem.
Yeah, well, because I think that the majority of the backlash against gays in society generally comes from Christians. So,
But speaking of that, okay, what backlash are you talking about?
like, trying to not let gay people get married or being opposed to gay marriage.
That's it?
Well, that's a pretty big one. I
No,
mean,
no. Well, I mean, compared to other religions that say that they need to or change their sex and things like that. So, like, I mean,
well, like I
some
think by
religions are completely.
Christian doctrine, you don't want gay people to be gay. But I mean, in the United States, the way that I would measure your acceptance of gays or homosexuality would be whether or not you were for or against gay marriage. I think that's a pretty fair test.
Well, I just showed to you that like there's a difference of 10% people, Christians that believe like 54 say you should accept them, 44 say they're pro marriage.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that I'm inclined
So
to say that marriage is not necessarily a good way to look at if they accept them or not.
okay. So let's say that we have a population of people. Okay. Let's say that in that population, let's say that 55% of Christians approve of gay marriage, but 95% of non-Christians approve of gay marriage. That's a big problem, right? Even though most Christians are okay with gay marriage, you would say the majority of the opposition to gay marriage in society comes from Christians, even though it's a minority of Christians that have these beliefs, right?
No, actually, I wouldn't. The only way I would say that is a big problem would be if the Christian faith in America would be actually growing, not in decline. Then I'd say, well, maybe you could actually be worried about this considering that this movement is growing. But I'm telling you that they're becoming more acceptant and there's less Christians as the time goes. And not only that, but a lot of them are going to die soon.
Okay, so again, there's
So I
lots of
think you're
different.
worrying for no reason.
Maybe. I mean, we're making a lot of different claims. There's a lot of okay. So, firstly, Christianity is shrinking in the United States. I've never disagreed with that. I would agree with you there. Old people dying is generally a good thing if you want more progressive values. I've never disagreed with you there. That's absolutely
No, but
true.
it's like the baby boomers.
Yeah, old people, baby
Yeah,
boomers
they're
right now. Yes,
they're
dying is a
they're
good.
getting there.
Yeah, I
But
wouldn't.
they form the biggest part. They're like 38% of all Christians or something. Where is it?
Sure, I don't disagree with any of that.
Hmm.
However, all I'm saying is that in the United States today, typically the biggest threat to gay rights comes from Christians. Now, whether it's they're old Christians or they're not all Christians, I'm just saying that if you were to find people outside protesting abortion clinics or members of the Republican Party trying to push anti-homosexual legislation or trying to get Supreme Court justices that'll overturn the gay bakery case or whatever, right? That stuff like this, these are Republican and Christian issues. Now, maybe the majority of Christians in the United States are supportive of gay rights, but if somebody is protesting gay rights, it's usually a Christian in the United States.
Yeah, but you keep saying it's a big threat to gay people. It's a big threat for abortion.
Well,
To
I
me,
so
my only point, my contingency here, I'm basically saying that I feel like you're fear mongering.
okay. Hold on, because we're jumping around so much. So okay, so I'm gonna
Like,
ignore
what's your
the
threat? Please show me.
what?
Like,
Okay, hold
do
on.
you
Okay.
really think the rights are going to be taken away from the gays?
Well, I don't. At this point, probably not. I don't think I've
Then what's
ever
the problem?
said that. I'm just so when I say that like Christians are a threat to gay people in the United States, it's usually in the context of compared to Muslims. So in the United States, there isn't like this Muslim majority of people that are trying to take rights away from gay people that have any type of
Wait.
political.
No, you're going too fast now. We're not. We didn't get there yet.
Okay, wait, which part are we at?
Well, because you started talking about Muslims, like you just jumped like way
Okay, well,
further.
okay, yeah, I just have to make sure that we're very clear on the claims that I'm making. So,
Well, we got to start by coming to an agreement about how big the threat on gays and abortion the Christians do.
okay, well, let's focus on gays, not the abortion part. That's a separate conversation. So for the gay people, right now at this point in the United States, with the Supreme Court rulings and everything, it's going to be pretty hard to roll back any type of gay rights. I don't think that there is a legitimate threat to gay people in the United States right now, as far as like getting married and whatnot goes. It's probably never going to get rolled back. I don't think so.
See, I'm really happy we could come on a understanding about this.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've always understood that. I've never said anything differently, so I'm happy too.
Well, because you're saying that Christians are a big threat in America compared to Islam,
So yes,
but
compared to
to me,
Islam,
it seems,
yes.
but to me, it seems like you're saying like they're not actually at threat of changing anything right now.
Probably not. But I mean, like for instance, the Trump administration has made statements judging the ruling of whether or not like a bakery can be allowed to turn down serving a product to a gay person. Right? That's something. Now, whether or not they have the power to change that, this is stuff that's gone through our Supreme Court. Stuff that goes through our Supreme Court is pretty hard to change. I don't know if any of that can ever get changed or overturned. But if it was going to be changed or overturned, it would come from Christians in the United States.
Right now.
Yeah, and the Christians are pretty emboldened right now with Trump in office and Republicans holding the majority on both sides. I don't know if that's going to be the same through the 2018 election season, since everything for the Republicans in the United States is falling apart.
You you do realize that like Trump isn't a real Republican, right?
Um,
Like he doesn't want to like
I
he's
don't.
not like Pence.
Well, Pence is fucking. There's a lot
Do
of
not
different flavors of Republicans right now.
it's like Trump is more liberal than Hillary in my mind.
App in.
He's
Um,
been accepting a gay people like for way longer, and I never heard him say like I
do you
don't
think
know.
that Hillary would have enacted like the trans ban via Twitter for military people?
Actually, that there's a lot of what you say propaganda that was spread about that.
Like what kind of propaganda?
Well, people like basically they're putting a halt on this, and General Kelly I think was in charge of that, and they don't want to outright ban them forever. That's not the thing. They just if you're managed to change your gender and you're stable and everything, like they need studies about that. But where they want to go is like when somebody is stable and transition completely and normal, and they can prove that it's fine, then like they can open the floodgates. You know, it's just basically
Yeah, but this is how it was already. It was already like this. I think the Pentagon ended up like overturning some of what Trump had tweeted or wanted to do, but it's already been like that. If you've got like mental problems, you're not going to be allowed to be in the military, whether it's trans issues or not. Like, this is already accounted for in the military. I'm pretty sure Trump wanted to enact a full ban on transgender people.
No, it's because what was starting to happen was it was becoming a thing that people wanted to go there for the operation. So that means they would have to be recruited before they get treated.
Okay, so Trump tweeted that the United States government will not accept or allow transgender individuals to serve in any capacity in the U.S. military. This means that even people that had already transitioned wouldn't be allowed to serve in the U.S. military.
But that is a tweet. What is the legislation that came out, though?
I'm pretty sure the Pentagon overturned because Trump tried to sign this as like an EO or something or an executive action, and the Pentagon ended up overturning. Hold on, I have to find the exact.
Because I'm pretty sure he just gave the like general lines. I'm pretty sure he just kind of like gave the general lines, and then gave his staffer of army staff dude. Was it Kelly?
Maybe, I don't know. So apparently the Pentagon hasn't taken any steps yet to enforce Trump's ban because the White House hasn't given exact guidance yet on what to do. This article is a few months old. But I mean, we were initially talking about Trump being accepting of LGBT. Like, this is a pretty anti-trans tweet. Like, there's not much room for a generous interpretation.
Well, because I am bisexual, sapiosexual, and I'm accepting of the LGBT. I'm a part of it. And I still can look at that and be like, well, I understand why you'd want to do that.
If you had a trans person serving in the military right now who was doing a good job, you would want them kicked out?
Well, no, that's why it's not going to go in place like that.
It's not going in place because the White House hasn't given any guidance to the Pentagon yet about what to do. But I mean, that's what Trump tweeted.
Well, basically, what I'm trying to say here is, like, I don't think that you should take a Trump tweet like it's a official order, like signed and printed by your government.
Okay, we're not talking. Like the question wasn't whether or not this was an official order or not, though. The question was whether or not Trump was pro or anti-LGBT. So if Trump were to
exactly. I'm telling you, you're saying that banning trans people from the military, to you, it seems like anti-LGBT. And I'm telling you, I'm LGBT, and I'm not against the LGBT. And I could see why you'd want to do that.
Well, let's back up and let's just philosophically look at the validity of your argument. No, hold on. We have to look at this argument. So you're basically saying, in the simplest terms, that if Trump tweets something that's anti-LGBT, it doesn't matter if the actual legislation isn't anti-LGBT?
No, I'm saying that Trump saying that he wants to ban the military, the trans people out of the military, isn't against the LGBT. That's what I'm saying.
So the fact that every trans person needs to leave the military, that's a statement made by the president. That's not an anti-trans statement?
I don't think so. I think that's a pro-security statement.
So you don't think that any trans person is capable of serving in any capacity in any military position?
I have to ask you right now, you do realize that some trans people are actually pro that as well.
You're saying I don't care what the opinions of some trans people are. I'm trying to find out
you're making it sound like you can't hold both opinions at once.
Well, no, I don't think you can. I'm trying to expose a contradiction in your position. So I'm asking you, do you think that it's fair to say that no trans person can serve in any military position whatsoever? Because that's what Trump is saying, and you're saying that he can say that and not be anti-trans. That sounds anti-trans to me.
To me, it sounded like he was saying, until all the proper research was done and everything was sorted.
Okay, so let me just I'm gonna shoot you. 1 second.
But you know what I mean, though, right?
I'm gonna shoot you this link. Okay, so this includes his 3 tweets. After consultation with my generals and military experts, please be advised that the United States government will not accept or allow transgender individuals to serve in any capacity in the U.S. military. Our military must be focused on decisive and overwhelming victory and cannot be burdened with the tremendous medical costs and disruption that transgender in the military would entail. Thank you. So the opening statement here is, after consultation with my generals and military experts. He says that as an opening statement. You think that he's still waiting on more research? Because it sounds like he's already made up his mind.
I'm pretty sure I read somewhere actually that it was because they needed more research because Obama had done it without any research. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. But I have a shit memory, so I'm gonna try to find it.
Well, no, we
Actually,
don't. Well, it doesn't. I mean, we're. If Trump were to tweet, let's say that Trump tweets tomorrow, okay? I wish that all the faggots would get out of our military, and I'm banning them now, okay?
that would be against the LGBT.
That would be against LGBT. So if he says,
Yeah.
I wish that all trans people would get out of the military right now, would that be anti-trans?
If he'd say something like an insult, because he said those fucking fags or whatever. I don't remember what.
So
he
you
just
think
said.
that if they don't actually use like one of those insulting words, it can't be anti-trans?
Considering it's for the military, like if you'd say anywhere like companies or something, if it wasn't like a life and death like military a defense situation, then yes, I would think it's probably transphobic.
Do you think that every single job in the military is life or death? Like every Air Force position, every office position, every IT position, every MOS in the Army, all of these are life and death combat positions?
No, but that's why it's not going in place, because that's
It's not going in
what's
place
happen.
because the White House hasn't given the Pentagon. Okay, so the
Because
original.
it's fucking. Because basically, you're saying that having a Christian guy like him is dangerous. But I'm telling you, you're telling me that he's not able to put that in place. So you just countered your own argument. You're saying that this really big anti-trans person can't even put this in place.
So let's say that a guy walks into a school with a gun. He aims it
No,
at
you
a
just ignored
teacher
what I said.
and he pulls the trigger, but his gun is empty, okay? And then I say to you, whoa, look, that guy just walked in and tried to shoot us. He's really dangerous. Would you look at me and go, listen, you lied.
That's a false
There are no
equivalency.
bullets in his gun. He's not dangerous.
That's a false equivalency. You're
Well, Trump tried to do something, which would
Don't
be.
yell.
I'm not yelling. Trump tried to do something, and he failed to do it because he fails at everything because he's a horrible leader.
No, that's not why he failed. It's because you have a system in place so you don't have dictatorships and people that could just come and change everything. That's why you have a like.
Then why would he tweet this at all?
Because he's trying to rile people up.
Rile people up to get trans
He's a
people
fucking
kicked out of
TV
the military?
Well, it didn't work.
How can you say that this is a pro-trans guy?
I didn't say he's pro-trans. I said he's not against them.
Okay. So, okay. How do
If
you
he
think?
said,
I'm just
like-
curious as like a general thing, okay? I'm just curious as a
If,
general thing. Do you
if
think
he said trans people can't be doctors, then I'd be like, it would be different.
why?
Because they're not, it's not for the security of your country.
What about people getting surgery? If you think trans people are too dumb to serve in the military, I don't want them operating on me.
Too dumb to join the military? Who said that? Citation needed.
Trump did when he said that they shouldn't be allowed to serve in any capacity in the U.S. military because
So
we
that
need
means
to
he
be
thinks they're
focused
too
on.
dumb?
I don't know why he's if they're not capable of serving in the military, then
Why
should
are you how do you say
ascribing
putting
views to him that he doesn't have? I don't know. That's just a get. Why do you think they shouldn't be allowed to serve in the military?
I didn't say that I don't think they should serve.
Okay, well he lists tremendous medical costs and disruption. What disruption? And why like
There's a lot of things that happen like basically what he's trying to say is he doesn't know the effect it has on the other people working with them and the relationship, because basically it's like a football team has to have a good synergy. So that guy that kept starting shit, no one wants to have him on their team because it causes.
Okay, but this contradicts what we know about the military already.
What do you mean?
These tweets at least purported to reverse a complex administrative review of transgender recruitment and retention that the Department of Defense had begun in August of 2014. That review included a 91-page report by the National Defense Institute of the RAND Corporation and a subsequent recommendation by a working group of senior military and defense leaders that transgender people be permitted to serve. So it seems like they've already looked into this, and it seems like transgender people can do okay in the military as long as they don't have any severe mental health issues. Having a severe mental health problem is something that's already taken care of if you're in the military. This is why a lot of military guys are discouraged from talking to therapists or admitting they have mental health problems, because a lot of them don't want to get fucked by this. But the research.
First of all, that research that you're saying there, why didn't people bring that up when Trump said that? Basically, when it came out, he was saying there hasn't been research on this and we need some. And after a few months, he said that, and people were outraged. They said, it's only been a few months that you're doing this research. So you're telling me that they've been researching it for years, actually, and no one mentioned it to him?
People have mentioned it. The problem is that Trump lies all the time, so it's really hard to keep track of everything. Almost every statement out of this guy's mouth is a fucking lie. So, yeah.
Wait.
What?
You don't think Hillary is the same?
No one is on the level of Trump. No.
Oh, boy. I'm not going to get it. That's not the debate, but just
if you go on the front page of Reddit right now, Trump literally lied about turning down a Time Person of the Year award. Who does that? Even Hillary doesn't do that. Or lying about the Boy Scouts, contacting him for...
I remember that one. That was ridiculous.
Yeah, no, not even Hillary. I don't like Hillary. If you're looking for a big Hillary supporter here, you're not going to find him here. I don't like Hillary, but her lies are nowhere near on the same levels as Trump. Trump will just lie to you.
Wait. You mean lying about what the Scout guy said is worse than lying about billions of dollars going to Haiti or not?
I never said that one lie was worse. I'm just saying that the way
yeah, you kind of did say, yeah.
No, I didn't say it. I never said that. I never said that. I said that Trump lies in a way that nobody... So Hillary won't sit there and say 2 + 2 is 5. Trump will. He'll say it to you and then call you stupid or fake news if you disagree. Like when he told people that he had the biggest electoral college win since the last Republican or whatever, right? He just lies about things.
What's worse, a stupid white lie like that or a big lie of like billions and millions of dollars that's scamming a whole country out of everything they have?
I would have to look into the Haiti stuff. Just judging by what you've said so far, what you're saying is probably not true, but I would have to look into it more closely. It's entirely possible that the Clinton organization did do something wrong there. I don't know. Do you believe in the uranium one thing, that Hillary sold off 20% of America's uranium supply?
Well, I don't think she did it, but I think a lot of people had their hand in that, yes.
Okay, so then
it's not if I believe it or not.
Gotcha. So I definitely don't believe what you're saying about the Haiti thing, because that's a total lie as well. So
that's a nice way to judge facts.
Well, we can look into if you want, we can spend a stream just reading about the Uranium One deal, if you want to do that, because that's a total piece of like propaganda that's just made up. It was a deal.
So they didn't sell.
It was like 20% of future reserves, not our current what we have, but like future mining capacity of a company that was signed off by like 9 different people, of which Hillary had no authority over. It had nothing to do with Hillary Clinton or the Hillary Clinton administration or organization.
But why did Bill meet with Putin?
I don't know. Why did Trump meet with Putin? I don't know.
No. He kept asking for like meeting to be allowed to meet with like banks or something over there, and in the end he didn't, and he just met with Putin instead.
I have no idea, but I know that Bill Clinton himself had no authority to do anything whatsoever with this Uranium One deal, so I don't think it really matters.
Anyways, basically what I'm trying to say is you think that small lies are worse than big lies.
I've never said that.
If there's a lot of small lies,
why are you arguing against that?
Well, because I asked you, and you cannot say, if it's true, the Haiti thing, then I can say that it's worse.
So the problem with the way that Trump lies is that it's very scary in a lot of different ways. If somebody is willing to lie to you about easily falsifiable things, that's a really scary concept. Now, is it worse than lying about any other particular? I don't know what kind of a lie is better or worse than another thing. The Haiti thing, the way you described it, sounds pretty bad. I mean, if they did lie about that's probably like a worse lie than lying about, whatever Trump lies about. I'm just saying that the propensity for Trump to lie about something that's easily falsifiable is a very scary trait, because they can just lie to you openly without anything, right? And this is illustrated by the fact that in the very beginning of this line of thought, you said, well, nobody talked about the military research or said that Trump was wrong when he said this thing. Tons of people said he was wrong. This article that I linked you is from November 1st, and I'm sure that there were tons. I mean, this research was going on before Trump ever made these tweets. I'm sure plenty of people brought it up. But when somebody lies over and over and over again, this is part of like a strategy of somebody that lies a lot, is when you tell so many lies, it becomes kind of normalized, and nobody really cares if you lie like this anymore. If Hillary were to tell a lie like this, we would hear about it constantly. constantly. When Trump tells huge lies, we forget about them in a day. That time
You
thing.
hear about it constantly.
What? Hear about what constantly?
You said if Hillary lied, you'd hear about it constantly?
Sure, yeah.
Wow.
We how long did we spend on the emails during the election season?
How long did you spend on every single one of his tweets?
Trump makes new horrible tweets every single day. I mean, it's not like there's been one bad Trump tweet.
You don't need to yell. You don't need to
I'm not
yell.
yelling. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll get back
you
with my. It's not like there's been one bad Trump tweet. It's the fact that he tweets horrible things on an almost weekly or sometimes daily basis. It's not like we're holding on to one bad Trump.
I agree with that.
Okay.
I agree with that.
So we're not holding on
give
to.
you that.
Okay, so we're not holding on to one bad Trump tweet. It's a continual string of horrible statements.
So that being said, you think that all the bad stuff he says and he tweets about and he wants to do, you think that's actually directly associated with Christianity?
To
And
some
if so,
extent,
please explain me why.
because when Trump was running for the election, when he was in the nomination process, okay, Trump said, these two books are the most important books ever written. And one he held up was The Art of the Deal, which was his own book because he has a massive ego. And the other one was the Bible. So to some extent, he has the support of evangelicals in the United States. That's why the vice president is Mike Pence.
That doesn't prove that his actions are based on beliefs he holds from the Bible. I doubt he even reads it very much.
If any Muslim, if somebody called Muhammad Jadeen were to stand up and say the Quran guides my decisions and runs for office in the United States, you better believe that every single thing he does would be blamed on Muslims. Do you disagree with that?
No, I don't disagree with that.
So why can Trump say the same about the Bible and I can't attribute him to a fucked up Christian belief system?
I didn't say that it wouldn't be disingenuous of them to say that.
Okay, well, then that's what I would say. I would attribute a lot of Trump's actions. I think they're consistent with, or at least a lot of the moral issues with Republican Christian positions, with evangelical positions. Like, I think we didn't talk about the abortion thing yet, but say with the trans people thing, which we still haven't really moved on from. I don't see how you can read this tweet as anything but anti-trans. Don't you think that there might be trans people serving in the military right now that are doing a perfectly okay job, whose commander-in-chief is telling them that they are unfit to serve now?
Yeah, I think that's hurtful and that's stupid, and I'm glad that they're not putting it in place.
So if you were a trans person,
I think a smarter thing would be to say before transition, before they're stable or something like that.
Okay, so if you were a trans person and you were serving in the military, so in the United States, I'm just telling you this because I don't know how much you know because you're Canadian. I don't know anything about your government, so I don't know what you know about mine. In the United States, the government, our president is the chief commander of the army, or I'm sorry, of the whole military. He's the commander-in-chief, so he's the head of our military. So if you were a trans person in the military and the guy at the very top of the military is saying that you are unfit to serve, do you think it would be fair that a trans person in the military could think, wow, my president is pretty anti-trans?
Well, they could think that. That's fair for them to think. That doesn't mean that it is anti-trans. Okay. That's feeling. You're comparing feeling to fact.
So where is your fact that Trump is pro-trans?
I didn't say he's pro-trans. It's the second time you say that.
So what is he then?
I don't think he's against most people. I think he looks at people and thinks how they could serve him.
Okay, so if I were to make a statement on whether or not Trump is pro or anti-trans, what would my statement be based on this action?
I don't think you can make a statement just based on these actions.
Even though you think trans people in the military would be justified in feeling like he's anti-trans?
Yeah, even though, yeah. I think there's a way to hold both beliefs, both ideas at the same time. There's some trans people that see the army as something sacred. So they could be like, well, I'm trans, but I'm able to, like, you can hold both thoughts at the same time. It's possible. Like, some people are just the army is their religion.
You can't hold these positions. This is ridiculous. You agree with this, right?
What I'm trying to say is, if he's really anti-trans, you shouldn't have a problem to give me other examples of trans things, anti-trans things that he does.
I don't know how many trans things the president can comment on, but the biggest one, like removing all trans people from the military, is something that he tweeted out. That's a pretty big deal that has very far-reaching implications to a lot of trans people in the United States, even non-military trans people.
Well, to me, we're gonna have to agree to disagree on this one. I'm sorry, because
What if you were a non-military trans person and you were working in a job as an engineer and the president of the United States came out and said he didn't think that any trans person was capable of serving in the military? Do you think that you might be fair in assuming that your president is pretty anti-trans?
I already answered that. I said yes.
Even
It's fair for
non-military.
you to
Okay,
assume that.
so you think it's fair for you think then?
I said for the person, it's fair to assume
Okay,
that.
even
The
non-military
person
people.
concerned, yeah.
So if every single trans person in the country, okay, let's do one more. Let's say that you're
I
a
said
liberal.
it's fair for them to assume that. I didn't
Okay,
say that it's
let's
a
say
fact.
let's
it makes
say
it
that
a
for
fact.
let's say for a bleeding heart liberal, an SJW like me, looks at tweets that Trump is making in the United States and says that trans people aren't allowed to be in the military. Do you think it's fair for me to assume that he's probably anti-trans?
I keep saying it's fair for you to assume that.
So if every single
That
person
doesn't make it a fact.
So if every single person in the United States looks at Trump's action about this trans military thing and assumes that Trump is anti-trans, do you think it's fair for me to say that there's a decent chance that the president of the United States is anti-trans?
Yeah, but not everybody views it like that.
But just
Like you need to have like you're making a claim like it's a fucking fact. Like you went and surveyed everybody. I think that's not fair. Like I'm pretty sure that doesn't fly. It's like if I just told you, well, obviously everyone thinks that Hillary's hair is fucking horrible. Like I can't say that if I don't have I don't even have any.
Let's say that
research
Trump
on it.
made a statement and Trump said Hillary really needs to raise more money to fix her hair. Do you think it would be fair for most people to assume that Trump thinks that Hillary's hair is fucking horrible? Do you think that would be a fair statement?
You keep trying to twist my words up.
So the problem is that you are engaging on
You're
Trump
using-
apologia on like
No,
a
you're
level that
using
is
very
unfathomable.
No, that's not what's going on.
Trump
telling
literally
you.
has a statement that's saying, I don't want any trans people in my military. And you're saying, well, that's not necessarily anti-trans.
Well, yes, because he's not doing anything else that's against trans people. If it wasn't about the security of your country, which is technically one of the most important things, that would make it different. If it was just about bathrooms, if you just brought up the bathroom argument, I think you would have been a bit better on this, actually.
Then banning all trans people from the military?
Yes, because the military is the security of your country. That's different.
So trans rights matter except when they actually matter? Then they don't matter?
No, that's not what I said.
So trans people can do what they want as long as they're not
Being
involved
in the military is not a right. You do realize that, right? It's a privilege.
Is it?
It's not a right. You're
Well,
not
yeah, I
born
guess probably
like if
not,
your
sure.
feet are fucked up, like
Yeah,
you're
sure,
not gonna
yeah.
be
If
able
you've
to...
got like a disability that prevents you from serving, sure. But I don't think we've decided that being trans means that you're not allowed in the military.
No, well, you just said you think Trump is taking away trans rights, and I'm telling
like
you,
the right
it's not
to
a
serve
right.
in the military.
That's not a right.
So if Trump were to say black people aren't allowed to serve in the military or gay people weren't allowed to serve in the military, would that be okay?
No, you're twisting my words up.
I'm just
I'm
asking
telling
a
you, being
question.
in the... I'm telling you, being
You're saying being in the military isn't a right, so saying that Trump is taking away trans people rights by
being
saying
trans is associated with suicide and a lot of other things.
being a man
Being
is
black
associated
isn't-
with a man is associated with suicide.
No,
Five
you just
times
said black.
Okay. Being black is associated with greater crime. Should they not be allowed to be serve in the military as well?
Well, no, because apparently it's working out fine.
Okay, and so we're trans people. We're all these trans people causing problems. And
Well, that's
the
why they didn't get kicked out.
Okay. How about when the Trump administration decided to withdraw
day
the
at the
federal
office.
protections for
Are we
transgender
why-
Are
students?
we really going to have a Trump debate, or are we going to talk about Christianity over here? Because I still don't believe Trump is very Christian.
Okay.
He doesn't look very forgiving. I don't
I
think he
pledge
goes...
that in a Trump administration, our nation's religious heritage would be
No, no,
cherished, protected, and
You're being
defended.
childish now. You could repeat it once more, but this debate is about Christianity.
I'm just reading Trump quotes. I pledge that in
Exactly.
a Trump administration, our nation's
You
religious
already read it.
No, this is a new quote. Our religious heritage would be cherished, protected, and defended like you have never seen before. That's what's happening. That's what's happening. You see it every day. You're reading it. You don't think I could find a million statements on Trump's being supportive of like Christian shit in the United States?
For me, to believe that Trump's actually Christian, you'd have to show me in his past how he's actually behaved like a Christian before he started running for president.
What does that even mean?
I think he's posing. I think he's posing on a lot of things,
Do you
actually.
think that ISIS
I don't
people are
even think he likes
actually?
firing people.
Do you think that ISIS people are actually Islamic? Or do you think
You're just jumping the gun
I'm
here.
just asking, do you think that people in ISIS are actually Muslims?
You know, there's multiple ways. Multiple, how do you say it? What's the word in English?
Interpretations?
Well, there's different, not sects, but like,
Well, there are hadiths, I guess, that different sects follow because they have
yeah,
different
exactly.
interpretations of the Quran. But
So like there's Sunni, there's Shia,
yep,
like
yeah,
exactly.
okay,
So yeah, I do think they're Muslims.
okay. Well, then why can't Trump be part of a different sect of Christianity where they just don't follow the Christianity shit very well?
Well, exactly. So why are you going to put all the bad stuff Trump does on Christianity?
Because Christians that are Republicans tend to support Trump and especially support Mike Pence.
Actually, wait. I have the statistics here. Where was it? Do you know the statistics of Christians and how many are Republican and how many are? Have you looked
Honestly,
into
in
it?
the United States, it's probably most the identifications between the parties are probably pretty similar. Like I think it's like 70 or 80% of like most Democrats and Republicans identify as like it's like Protestant or something, I think. But you don't typically see Democrats pushing like highly religious kind of legislation like Republicans try to do, like
Yeah,
anti-abortion.
because there's a lot of Christians that are Democrats that don't want to put their Christian values tied to law.
Sure, they're more secular, which I think is a good thing because I don't like Christianity. The Republicans, however, tie their religion in very closely with their legislation, or they try to.
Yeah, but this isn't a debate about Republicans.
No? What is
This
this
is
a
a debate
debate
about
again?
Christians.
Okay. Okay, wait. So what exactly are we debating? Whether or not Christians support Trump, or
No? We're debating
here's a
how
poll
much
on
of a threat Christianity is to the United States compared to Islam.
Okay. So the fact that Trump is made, so I'm not allowed to call Trump a Christian, even though he's got like plenty of like
No,
statements
that's not
saying
what
that
I
he's
said.
okay. So
What I'm trying to say is you
well, this
can't
is
just
important
blame a
because if
whole religion just for one man. You're trying to tell me not to do that with Muslims, yet you're
no,
going to do it with Trump
what
and
I
Christians?
what I'm saying is that most Christians supported Trump, that Trump himself is a Christian, and that the Republican Party appeals to Christians, and
See,
that
that's
the
a fallacy, though. You said most Christians supported Trump. That's a fallacy.
Okay, I threw you a poll, okay? There's a percentage breakdown of the presidential vote by religious affiliation and race. If you look at Protestant/other Christians, 58% supported Trump, 39% supported Clinton, and then you can see the breakdown by each specific.
So you said 58%?
58% of Protestants or other Christians supported Trump, 39% supported Clinton.
Okay, so it's not like 80 or something. Because you
Well,
said
on more,
almost all of.
I didn't say almost all. I just said that
Sorry, what's the word did you use? You said
most,
most of them.
yeah.
58% isn't most.
58% is not only most a majority, it's also a plurality. Like, yes, it is in every definition of the word. 51% means most. I'm sorry.
Okay.
In English,
Okay.
this is how we use these
Okay,
words.
well,
It's possible that in French you have like a different connotation. I'm not trying to be insulting. I don't
yeah,
know.
well, French is very specific.
Okay. Okay, I'm sorry. So a majority. Okay, a majority of Christians supported Trump.
Okay, so basically you're saying that the what you said 39% of Christians that
Supported
didn't vote for him
supported Clinton. Yeah.
so basically what I said earlier is that most of the Christians that are really intolerant, most of them are baby boomers and are going to die soon. Remember
Okay.
that?
Sure.
So if you're saying that 50 was it 58% you said
Yep.
voted for Trump?
Supported Trump. Yeah.
We can safely assume that a big part of those are probably baby boomers because there's a lot of baby boomers right now, right?
I mean, I mean, depending on the religious group, it's more extreme. For instance, evangelicals supported Trump 81-16, or Mormons supported Trump 61-25. White Catholic people supported Trump 60-37. I don't know, like what percentages of these are all old people. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of them, but we never debated that. I already told you that as the older population dies off, we probably become a little bit more left-leaning in terms of our social values.
A little bit, it's gonna be a lot more.
Well, I
Like
mean,
I'm
it
telling
depends.
you,
There's young conservatives too. We
like
gotta.
even right now, well, fuck, where is it? There's not that many young ones actually. I think the young millennials that are Christians is 11%.
That
Like
sounds
of
like
the total, the
really
young millennials is
extreme.
11%. The older millennial, I think it was 12%. Wait, I have the web page open here. Okay. Income, education,
So,
no.
from a quick
Age.
poll that I just pulled from Pew, it looks like 26% of millennials are less religiously affiliated. So,
That's what I said. 11 plus.
no, so
Oh
26% are
no.
not religiously affiliated, which would I'm assuming means 70 or
Oh no
60-some%
no
are.
no no. You got. I wasn't talking about that statistic. I was saying that 11% of all Christians in the United States. 11% of all Christians in the United States are young millennials. 12% are.
Okay.
Oh, I found it right here. Here, I'll print screen.
Okay, here, wait. Let's take a
It,
step back from all these memes, okay?
no, it's
So,
not a meme.
well,
It's not a meme
from
at
all these
all. I'm
things. I didn't
telling
mean
you
to
that.
call it a meme. I'm sorry. I'm just that's how I talk, okay? So, um let's just take a step back, okay? Um so you know what? I didn't even want to read these. Okay. So, when you talk about legislation in the United States, okay, and people talk about it's not right that teens should have sex education or access to contraception, or we need to get rid of things like abortion in the United States. Do you not think that they're primarily Christian messaging behind these types of policies, or where do you think this comes from, if not from like religious people?
I think that comes from the baby boomers and before were all people that they compared to us millennials, they never really had the time to grow and explore who they are and learn and travel and meet. Basically, as
Okay.
soon as they left school, if they didn't quit school early to work, they started work right away.
Okay.
So all these people never had the time to go meet people, explore, etc., etc.
Cool. All right. Well, then what are we arguing about? Then you agree with me.
And they're all going to die soon. So I don't
Yeah,
think
well,
it's a
within the
big
next
threat
like
for the United
15,
States.
20, 25 years. Well, I don't know that.
Well, I just sent you like the thing here. So 35% is baby boomers, 14 is silent, 1% greatest. So
Wait,
that's
but wait. So
that's
I mean, so
50%.
looking at like how many young people believe in God, apparently 71% of millennials believe in God. They're either fairly certain or absolutely certain in some belief in God. I don't know if this means Christian or not. Maybe not. Um, but I mean, like
This is the paper.
baby boomers are still voting for the next 10, 15, 20 years. I mean, like they're not all going to be dead immediately.
I don't think they got much power or say. Like it's obvious, or else the trans people would be banned from the military right now.
Well, they're not, because the White House didn't give any direction to the Pentagon to do it, and people are still fighting against it.
Yeah, because
Again,
they
like,
know all hell will break loose if they do that.
sure,
Because
and
most people in the
again,
country are against that because religion, the old ways of Christians is not popular.
okay,
It's not becoming more prevalent.
I never said that. I'm just
Yes,
saying
you're
that
saying that it's a danger. I'm saying it's
it's
not.
more dangerous than Islam. That was the original tweet. That's what we're here discussing. Not whether or
Well,
not
because I'm
Christian.
gonna
Okay.
after this, I have to prove to you how Islam is gonna be more threatening.
Okay.
We didn't get there yet.
Okay, sure. Well, let's
Right now,
just
you keep
so
talking in discussion like you think there's not a lot of Muslims there, so there's no problem. But you haven't heard my debate about that
okay,
yet.
so then we're moving on from this, and you totally admit that Christians are anti-LGBT rights. You just think most of them are going to die, hopefully, before any
No,
real. Okay,
that's not what I said.
so then what exactly are you saying? Why do you keep agreeing with me about all my points about Christians and then saying, well, they're
I
baby boomers, so they're going to
I
die
told you
soon?
54% of them think homosexuality should be accepted.
That's a really low number.
That's
But what does the average
54.
population
That's
think?
oh wait. You remember earlier when you said 58% was the majority?
Yes.
Well, that means the majority of Christians say that homosexuality should be accepted.
Okay. You're conflating two different things, though. If
No,
the
no, no, no,
average,
no.
okay, if I walk into a room and
No, you're
100,
gonna change the subject now again. You keep doing that.
okay, if I walk into the room and I've got two groups of 50 people, okay, are you following me?
No, no. Remember how 2 minutes ago you said 58% means a majority of them,
Yeah, I'm not
right?
saying it's not a majority. We're talking about where a threat comes from,
So
okay?
you're able to say out loud that a majority of Christian say that homosexuality should be accepted.
Sure, yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
Was
But
that
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 doesn't
hard?
conflict with my other statement that any threats to LGBT people in the United States come from Christians, and that Christians are the most threatening group to LGBT people. These statements are
Well,
not
no, because you're not able
contradictory.
to prove that you're not able to prove that there's an actual threat.
I have. Trump
No, you're
tried to
not.
ban them from the military.
And
Trump's
nothing
state.
happened, so that doesn't prove that there's a threat.
So the president attempting to ban trans people from the military, but
If I point a toy gun at you, there's no way it's gonna ever kill you.
but it's not a toy gun. It would be like you pointing a real gun at me and forgetting to load the bullets into it.
No, it's not. If you didn't have your political system built in a way that he can't be a tyrannical person, then yes, you could make that statement. But the way your Congress and everything is made is so that he can't do things like that. So you can't claim that he's a threat. Because there's system in place to stop him.
What does a threat mean to you? Can you define what threat means?
A credible threat, something that could actually hinder something.
Okay, so you think there's a 0% chance that Trump can ever do anything to hurt LGBT people in the United States? There will never be legislation passed or attempted to be passed that could hurt.
Well, I'm saying that you haven't proven to me that there is a threat.
I've
That's
proven
what I'm
to
saying.
you that he has the motive to do it. Okay.
That doesn't make him a threat.
No, he has the motive to do it, and he owns both halves of Congress, and he's trying to do it. You don't think that seems threatening at all?
He can't even get anything done. I don't think it is a threat.
Okay. I mean, nobody else views threats the way that you view them. Like, your insanely linear definition of what a threat is like an impossible to meet threshold. Like, so you're literally, so to you, there is no such thing as a threat. Basically,
I'm
somebody
saying if
walks
you're
up to
living
you,
in a
and
country-
up until the moment where they actually hit you, they're not a threat. But
No,
everything
that's-
right up to that moment, they're not a threat to you.
No, because he has arms and hands and he could hit me.
Okay.
So he is a threat.
But if he's just throwing the punch, he might miss. So he's not a threat yet until he actually
if he
knocks you
doesn't
out.
have any arms, then no, he's not threatening of punching me.
Okay, but he has done things via executive action in the past. What's to stop him from doing some sort of action by executive action here?
Well, you say that.
Yes,
So
I do say that.
now you're just basically fear mongering. I'm telling you, what has he done?
What has he done via executive action that people vehemently disagree with?
No, I'm talking about LGBT and fucking trans here.
Okay, how about when the
Remember?
federal government rolled back some trans protection rights for schools? That was under the Trump administration. I can find you the story on that if you want to read it. It had to do with, I think, bathroom shit related to schools or whatever.
Okay, so you think what was it about? Was it about them getting their own bathrooms, or was it about them using the other bathroom?
Hold on.
Another day.
The Trump administration on Wednesday night withdrew Obama-era protections for transgender students in public schools that let them use bathrooms in facilities corresponding with their gender identity. The announcement is a significant victory for opponents of the Obama administration guidelines who believe the federal government never should have gotten involved in the issue. Civil rights groups, meanwhile, denounced the withdrawal as a politically motivated attack that will endanger transgender children and sow confusion over the federal government's role in enforcing civil rights.
Oh, so he was like basically giving the power back to the states, you mean?
Sure, the power to discriminate against trans people. Yeah.
The power so basically he's giving some of his power away.
To discriminate against trans people. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, but that's not anti-trans to you.
No, I'm saying I don't think it's threatening the human rights of trans and gay people like Islam.
Okay, let's say that the president of the United States...
You comparing somebody that wants to stop people to go to the bathroom to people that want to literally kill.
You are literally one of the most dishonest people I've ever had a conversation with in my life. This is insane to me. So let me give you another
part?
example. The part
I
that you
I
you
feel the
can't
same thing
admit.
about you.
No, but I'm not. I'm being very, very clear. This is really easy to follow if you weren't being so dishonest. Let me ask you a question. Let's say that Trump said,
You're still
"Hey,
yelling.
I'm not yelling at all." Okay. Let's
Yeah,
say that
you're really emotional about this.
I'm
You
not
keep
very
yelling.
emotional at all. I don't give
You
a
do
fuck.
the same when you talk to Sargon.
I know. Okay. Let's say Trump said, "Hey, by the way, if you want, you can go ahead and discriminate against gay people all you want. Now, I'm going to make it so the federal government doesn't protect against sexual discrimination." If I were to say, "Hey, wow, that sounds pretty anti-gay," would you respond with, "Well, Trump is just giving power back to the states"? Would that be your response?
You conflagrating going to the bathroom with with gay rights.
Okay, so until states are actually fucking
Oh my
shooting gay
God.
people in the
You
head,
don't
it
need to
doesn't
be
count
so
as
fucking
discrimination
aggressive.
to
You're
you?
driving me fucking crazy.
Like,
You're
is it
so aggressive.
okay? What does a state have to do
so
to be
aggressive.
trans
I'm not.
discriminatory? Can you
I
tell
didn't
me?
come in here to get yelled at. I
All
thought it
right,
was a
dude.
debate.
It's not a. Well, like, cause
You screaming.
I'm not screaming. Dude. I can scream if you want. I'm just curious what a state has to do to be discriminatory. So if you're a trans person, you go to school and you look like a boy and you identify as a boy and you want to go to the boys' bathroom and the school says, "Fuck no, you live in Alabama, so we're going to make you go down to the girls' bathroom," right? That person doesn't feel like they're being fucked a little bit by the Trump administration. That doesn't count to you because they're what, not killing them?
That's not what I said.
Then why doesn't this count as being trans discriminatory? This is the Trump administration that is on record apparently as being anti-trans, now enacting a piece of anti-trans policy. This doesn't count as being anti-trans to you because it's giving rights back to the states?
I guess the difference of opinion that we have here, the big thing, is I don't view going to the bathroom how to explain this?
I can explain it perfectly.
I don't
Do you want me to explain it?
No, my point of view. I want to explain my point of view. You don't want to know it?
I already know it, but you can
talk to me if you don't even want to know.
Go ahead. Tell me why bathrooms aren't a big deal to you, buddy.
That's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
Okay. So what I'm saying is little girls are going to the little girl bathroom, okay?
Okay.
That's their right to go there.
Okay.
Safely and be safe. Okay?
Okay.
And then the little boys have the little boy bathroom.
Okay.
That's how it works. And then all of a sudden, you come and you say, well, now, before we make any change in society, we're just going to say, all the little boys, if you tomorrow you feel like a girl, you're going to be allowed to go in the girls' bathroom. You're putting in legislation with loose terms that are actually not only, because you can see it as the rights of the boy or of the trans man or whatever getting taken away, but some people can view it as the right to the little girl to go safely in the bathroom safely.
What is it? Why do you keep saying safely? Where are all of these people getting raped by trans people in bathrooms?
I didn't say they are.
Then why are you saying safely?
Because that's how they feel.
Why would they feel that way?
Well, maybe it's because they got raped by a man and
by
they
trans
feel
people?
safe. No, I'm saying by a man.
So when you talk about safety, it seems like the safest thing for a trans person.
Let's say a little girl. Let's go really back. Let's go really young. Okay. Let's say this little girl has been raped by an adult in her life, a man. Okay. And then all of a sudden, and so she has these problems with boys and males. Okay. All of a sudden, now the laws are changed, and little boys can just walk in her bathroom.
Let's say there's a little boy that gets raped by a man. Should he be allowed to go into women's bathrooms now? Because if he goes into a male's bathroom, he might see an older guy and be scared he's going to get raped?
No,
and we're totally
to be
ignoring...
honest, my opinion on this would be that there needs to be gender-neutral bathrooms. That's my opinion.
Okay, but that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about the right of a trans person.
Well, because you're trying to paint me as an anti-trans
Because
person.
you're being really anti-trans right now. I'm sorry.
That's your opinion.
It's not my opinion. It's what every trans person that comes on here would say. I can't go... If you have a person that...
You keep yelling
I'm
at
not
me.
yelling.
Look,
Your position is ludicrous. Listen.
You don't even want to debate Christianity. You don't even want to stop yelling. You don't even want to understand what I'm saying. I'm sorry, but you kind of suck at debating.
So if you have a person that looks like a woman, okay, they've gone through their...
You keep throwing all these ad hominems.
Can you name one ad hominem I've thrown at you?
Yeah, you just said I'm fucking transphobic.
That's an ad hominem? I'm describing your ideological position.
I'm not transphobic, and I explained to you why.
You're literally
You don't want
going.
to understand
This is
it.
why what you're saying is transphobic. You're saying that maybe there might have been a little person that might have gotten raped and is going into a bathroom and might see somebody that's scary to them or whatever. That's your argument against letting a trans person safely use a restroom that they feel most comfortable using? Why don't you take into account the safety of the trans people that want to use the bathroom that they feel the most comfortable using?
What I'm saying is there's
Can you just answer that
social
question?
norms,
Can you just
social
answer
norms
that
that
question
have
for
been
me?
in place.
Can you
And
just
you're
answer?
trying to say,
Under your rule of law, do you know who Blair White is?
yes, I
You
love
want
her.
Blair White to use the male's bathroom, is what you're saying. That would be the safest
what I
thing.
said.
That's what you're saying.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
So do you think she should be allowed to use the bathroom that she feels the most comfortable using?
Because she's passing, yes.
Oh. So then you disagree with the Trump administration withdrawing federal protections for transgender students using the bathrooms that they're most comfortable with.
I never said I was for it, by the way.
I'm
I
not
said I
asking
can
whether.
understand.
So if you had a Blair White who's 16 years old in high school and she wants to use the women's bathroom, should she be allowed to do that? Or are you going to make her go into the male's bathroom because somebody might have gotten raped a long time ago and maybe you think Blair is going to be a threatening rapist?
What I think is that there needs to be bathrooms for people that are in transition.
Okay, but that's not what we're discussing now.
Because you're trying to say, basically, no, I don't think Blair, if she was like how she looked when she was at 16, I don't think she should go, like, until like the societal norms have changed. You can't, I don't agree with changing legislation before changing societal norms and accept, like, what's the word for that? There's a fucking word for that.
For which word? Societal norms, culture?
Basically like a societal thought, but whatever.
Okay, so
I don't
let me.
think
I just
I don't
want to
think
find
you
out.
should put laws in place before. It's the same thing for pronouns and something like that.
Okay, that's great.
You need to
but
get
in the United
people
States
to
of America,
understand.
in the United States of America, we try to protect the minority against the tyranny of the majority. So we don't always wait for a majority opinion on a certain thing before we do certain protections for some minority groups. That's why we have protected classes in the United States. Also, please stop yelling at me. You're getting very loud. So
Sorry, I'm gonna put the microphone a bit.
okay.
Here.
So all I'm
Can
asking.
you hear me well if I put it here?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly, okay? So all I'm asking you, okay, is you think it should be okay that a passing trans person should be able to use the bathroom that they feel most comfortable identifying with, correct?
I would love that we could live in a society where that's perfectly fine, yes?
Okay, hold on. I gotta get a yes or no answer from you on this. Do you think that a person that is passing as their gender should be allowed to use the bathroom?
Passing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So then you think that the Trump administration passing this legislation hurts those types of students or no? So under Trump's rollback of those federal protections, schools could now tell somebody like Blair White that she's forced to use the man's restroom. Do you think that that's okay?
No, I don't think that's okay.
Okay. So you don't think it's okay because it's probably, I don't want to say anti-trans, but maybe kind of meanie, kind of sort of meanie to trans people? Is that an okay word to use?
No, it's not like that.
So
It's
now,
also
hold on. So
'cause-
before we talk about a million other things, I just want you to explain that statement to me.
Exactly.
Okay, so you think that, okay, so go ahead and explain that. Why isn't that mean towards trans people?
Well, because that would imply having a girl walking into men's bathroom.
Okay. So if you have a passing trans person that wants to use the bathroom they're most comfortable with, do you think that's okay or not?
To use the I don't think somebody that looks like a man should go in the female bathroom.
So if they're passing, you think they should be allowed to use the bathroom that they're the
I
most
already
comfortable
said that,
with?
so you keep going like
Okay,
I said yes.
then why do you keep bringing this back? So why do you think it would be okay for a school to tell somebody that they're not allowed to go to the bathroom that they feel the most comfortable going into?
Because you're talking about schools.
That's what the Trump administration federal protections were for. It had to do with schools.
So you're implying that like all the people that want to use the bathrooms are passing.
Maybe, maybe not. I'm not sure. There were protections for people that wanted to. I'd never heard a bunch of stories of like trans men going into bathrooms and molesting women. I guess it could have happened, but it definitely didn't because I guarantee you if it would have happened, those stories would have been all over the fucking news.
I didn't say that I'm afraid that they would get raped.
Okay, has any trans person raped someone in a bathroom?
Exactly. I didn't say that. I think that's the. I'm not fearful of that.
Then what are we
I never said
fearful
that.
of?
It's for the little girls.
What? Why little girls? What about little boys? Why do you care about
Well,
little
little
girls so
boys
much?
too. Well,
Okay,
because little girls, I know it pulls on the heartstrings of people, so I'll say little girls. What?
okay. Well, I'm not trying to appeal to emotion here. Okay. So what I don't understand is if you think that students should be allowed to use the bathroom that they identify the most with, why
Oh,
would you
that's
be
not passing anymore.
okay? Students that are passing that want to use the bathroom that they feel the most comfortable with. Why do you think it would be a good idea to allow some schools to tell those students that they're not able to do that?
I don't think it is a good idea. I
Then do
told
you
you.
agree?
I think they should.
Then
I think both are stupid.
okay, then do you agree that Trump's DOJ withdrawing these protections for transgender students was a pro-trans or an anti-trans idea?
Oh, I'm able to say that it was an anti-trans move. I wasn't. I
Okay.
didn't.
So
I
now
didn't.
we have a
I didn't
president.
say.
So now we
I
have a
didn't.
president that's made anti-trans tweets. Now we've shown that he has the ability for his Department of Justice to move forward with anti-trans policy. Do you think it's fair for me to say that the Trump administration might represent a threat towards trans people in the United States now?
But the Trump administration is Republican, not Christian. Christian people are accepting. You remember I told you most of them accept gay people and things like that? You remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
We're not having a discussion about Republicans, man.
We're just having a discussion about a guy that got the majority of the Christian support in the United States,
Like to
who
me, you sound like
constantly
you got Trump derangement syndrome. I'm not even like.
Well, he held up the Bible. He said it was the most important book ever written. He has the majority of support from Christians in the United States, and he's supported by a party that most closely identifies with Christians, and his vice presidential nominee is one of the most evangelical candidates of all time. I think that if a Muslim was in the same position, you would call him a Muslim 10 out of 10 times. But because he's Christian and you want to be real nice towards Christians, you're trying to like bend it really hard to say,
Okay.
well, it's just Republicans,
so
it's just Trump. He's
basically-
not actually a Christian. No true
I
Scotsman.
have a question for you, Dan.
Yeah.
So this means basically you're saying that countries that have leaders that are Muslims that have laws in place that are anti-gay, like kills them and things like that, throws rocks on women and all this stuff. So basically, you're saying that all Muslims are like that because of that guy.
Depending, yeah. Like Saudi Arabia, yeah, I would say is a hugely fucked up place that their
So
leaders
basically,
are
you're saying all Muslims.
not all Muslims, but probably most Muslim majority countries. Yeah, sure.
What's the point
Oh,
of
man.
arguing with
That's
intellectually
basically
dishonest
the problem. You're
morons?
too stuck on big generalizations. So
Well,
basically,
generalizations is kind
you
of how
look-
we rule. Yeah, it's kind of how we make analyses of societies and
Okay,
whatnot.
well,
Is
if
by
generalization-
generalizing people. Yeah.
Okay, well, if generalization is how it rules, that means that 54% of Christians in America are pro-gay people. That's a majority of them. Are pro-LGBT rights. 54% of them. Majority of Christians in America are acceptant of homosexuality.
Well, you got me, dude.
And now you're trying to say that like a majority of Christians are against trans?
I've never said a
Because
majority
Trump
of
did
Christians are against trans.
Well, this is a discussion about Christianity, not about Trump.
It's not a discussion about Christianity. It was this.
Oh my God, I came in here thinking that.
Okay, let me go. You didn't. Let me go back to the first tweet that I made about this that you've referenced several times so that we can refound the discussion on this point. The discussion was, in the United States right now, what represents a greater threat to LGBT rights, Christianity or Islam? And my argument was that Christians represent a greater threat to the United States in general, but in particularly LGBT rights, than Islam does. That was my original claim. Do Christians hate trans
well, right now
people?
you're making the claim that Trump is a big danger. I'm telling you, Christians in general are not.
Okay.
That's why I didn't know why you wanted to have this debate. I think it's ridiculous of you to make this claim. If you want to say that Trump is this and that, that's different.
Okay. Maybe we can find some common ground then. Okay. How about we say that the majority of Christians welcome and love LGBT people.
That's what
However,
I said.
the president, who is a self-proclaimed Christian, the vice president, who is
A
highly
Republican.
evangelical,
An old man,
Republican
72,
Party,
baby boomer.
the Republican Party that closely align with religious values, these people are all a threat to LGBT rights.
And they're all about to die.
All of them are about to die.
Yeah.
How old is Paul Ryan? He seems pretty young. The vice president Pence doesn't seem that young either. But
So what's baby boomers? What's the exact age of the boomers?
baby boomer median age. Let's find out.
I should ask you. You type faster than me.
65 years old. By 2030, when all
That's
the
the
baby
youngest?
boomers will have passed over age 65. 65 is the median age, I think, of the baby boomers right now.
Okay. So we just came to this conclusion that like 50%. Basically, actually, if you check the correlation between. Oh no, that's not. You don't like correlations like that. Never mind.
I love correlations. What about correlations?
Well, because actually, if you check at the 54% that say that gays should have rights, and if you check at the 50% that are boomers and older, you're starting to see a pattern. Basically, you have a problem against old Christians.
I don't want to put
It's
you
not
on the
necessarily
spot.
against Christianity. Like, modern Christianity has changed enough that it's not a danger for freedom.
I never said that it was. I said that it was more dangerous than contemporary Islam in the United States.
Well, yeah, but we didn't get to Islam yet because we can't agree on this.
Well, I don't know. I mean, the whole argument was Christianity versus Islam. I mean, that was the whole initial thing.
Well, exactly.
And
Exactly, and we can't even come to the understanding that there's no big credible threat that you're able to make that's you claim that Christianity as the religion Christianity being a threat. Because I'm telling you, they're not against gays. They marry outside of the religion. Most of them don't even care if you get circumcised or not. That's more of a medical reason when they choose it or not, like cleanliness. So it's like,
okay. Well, I guess if that's what we're going on, 52% of Muslims say that the society should accept gay people as well. So I guess we've already finished that argument too, huh? That's a majority of Muslims.
in the United States.
Yeah.
You're saying, yeah, and that's really good. My whole contingency was that Islam should be reformed in the first place, but
How can you reform Islam? What does that even mean?
I don't have a problem with modern. My problem is with like people trying to bring female genital mutilation. Like in Canada, actually, and America too. I've heard a couple people trying to say that it's not mutilation and that it should be legal. They're actually advocating for this.
I've never heard of mainstream figures advocating for female genital mutilation in the United States. To be fair, you could probably make strong arguments for it, but I haven't heard it being made in the mainstream.
Well, because the mainstream only shows you what they want. Do you know about Linda Sarsour?
Yeah, I've heard of her, unfortunately.
Like she's a leader of the Women's March. Do you see how much power she wielded?
She is not a leader of the Women's March. She was one of many people that organized different marches.
Exactly. At the Women's March, like she was a poster child.
Okay.
You know?
When I just Google real quick, Linda Sarsour, FJM, the second link I have is a tweet from her saying female genital mutilation has no place in Detroit or anywhere else in the world. Female genital mutilation is barbaric and is not an Islamic practice.
Yeah, exactly. When she does that, you know what she does?
What does she do?
That's called taqiyya.
Okay.
You know what taqiyya is?
I heard this term the other day, but no, what about it? I don't remember.
I want to do it justice, so.
In Muslim, the meaning of the name taqiyya is pious or righteous. Do you think she's Virtue signaling?
No. Here, taqiyya is an Islamic juridical term whose shifting meaning relates to when Muslim is allowed under Sharia law to lie. A
Oh.
concept whose meaning has varied significantly among Islamic sects, scholars, countries, and political regimes. It nevertheless is one of the key terms used in recent anti-Muslim polemics. And the reason for that is that it is practiced. Islamic scholars claim that taqiyya is only permissible under duress, and that
Wait, so was her life under duress when she was making these claims?
exactly. So when they say it's only permissible under duress, that's taqiyya.
So you think that you think somebody held a gun to her head and told her to say that female genital mutilation is wrong?
No. I'm saying that she'll say anything for PR.
But you just said that they're only
Public
allowed
relations.
to exercise this right when they're under
Have you
duress.
seen her tweet? Okay, have you ever heard of Ayan Hirsi Ali?
No.
Oh my god. Okay. That accepting Linda Sarsour, she's so accepting. You're defending her right now, right?
I'm not defending anybody. I still don't know. Are they actually female genitally mutilating people in the United States? Is this actually happening?
Okay, Ayan Hirsi Ali is a woman that goes around the world and tries to de-radicalize people.
Okay, wait, before we move on to her. So is this Linda
wait.
Sarsour lady? Is she female genitally mutilating anybody in the U.S.?
Do you know what she said?
I don't care. I want to focus on
About
her.
Ayan Hirsi Ali. Ayan Hirsi Ali is
So,
speaking against Islam.
When you gish
and Linda
gallop,
Sarsour
the point is to bring up as many points as possible so that your argument has the appearance of being very strong because you don't address your points one by one.
No, okay. I'm trying to say here,
Okay.
you just showed me a tweet of
Okay.
Linda Sarsour saying she's against female genital mutilation, right?
Okay. Well, I don't know if she is or not. That's just what came up when I looked at it. But okay, go ahead.
Well, here, one of her most famous tweets also is against a Christian woman and a ex-Muslim person that speak out against Islam. The tweet says, Brigitte Gabriel equal Ayan Hirsi Ali. She's asking for an ass whipping. I wish I could take their vaginas away. They don't deserve to be women. She's saying that about a woman that she knows has already had FGM done to her.
Okay, what does this have to do with being pro or anti-FGM?
Because she dares to speak against Islam. We're talking about Linda Sarsour. She's from, the Bronx or New York? We're talking about a Muslim from New York that is being paraded as this tolerant lady that is saying that a woman that speaks out against Islam should have her vagina taken away from her.
Okay, I have no idea what you're talking about now.
Here.
No. Listen, I see the tweet. I see what you're talking about. It looks pretty stupid. What does this have to do with Muslims being pro female genital mutilation in the United States? Because right now...
You showed me a link of that woman saying, oh, look, she said she's against it. That means she's against it. No, she's saying that it's not a part of Islam because she doesn't consider it mutilation.
I don't... Okay, we can read. Maybe she has a full article by her that we can read. Maybe it's...
And actually, she's not the only person that does that. People... And that's not only Muslim people that do that.
Stop. You're trying to... So what you're doing is because this is getting really weak, you're just trying to bring in a whole bunch of other stuff.
No.
So can you show me something with her being pro female genital mutilation and pushing that in the United States? I'm curious. And it actually getting traction. Can you show me that? Because right now you've shown me that she made a really dumb tweet shit-talking some person telling her she wants to take their vagina. I don't know what the fuck. I mean, it sounds stupid. It sounds bad, okay? But we're way off point. I want you to show me where Linda Sarsour is preaching female genital mutilation in the United States. Okay, so then this is not a point for you. Can you move to your next example?
My point is that you're trying to say that because she says certain things, it's impossible that it's not true. Okay? I'm telling you, there's figureheads in the movement that have a lot of power that hold views that are actually quite dangerous. It's simple. It's not even a big statement that I'm making.
Okay. I'm just curious. Wait, how old are you? You don't have to answer if you're not comfortable.
I'm going to be 29 soon.
Oh, sick. I'm going to be 29 in 2 weeks, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm trying to connect. What's your first name?
Patricia.
Patricia. Okay, I'm Steve. I'm trying to connect with you on a deeper level. I'm trying to see into your mind right now, okay?
I wish you would have started earlier.
Okay, I'm trying really hard right now. Does it make you at all uncomfortable that I can show you explicit Trump tweets where he's saying things, and then you say that's not what he really means? And then when you try to show me something that supports your side, you give me tweets from women, and then you say everything they're saying is lying, and I'm going to tell you what they're really. Does that is? You literally gave me a religious excuse where you're saying, hey, they're allowed to lie all the time because they're Muslims. Does that make you uncomfortable at all?
No, that's not what I said. That again, wow, you just misconstrued what I said so much.
Which part did I misconstrue?
You just said that I said that Muslim can lie all the time, and that's just.
Wait, hello?
Hello?
Oh, yeah. I was sorry, you got cut off. You said that I think that you said that Muslims can lie all the time. Yeah, that's what it sounded like you said. Did you not say that? Can you allow when you brought up Takia or whatever, it sounded like you were saying that Muslims are allowed to lie to people in the public.
That doesn't mean they're doing it all the time. You said that I said that they're.
I'm sorry. I misspoke then. You think that Muslims are allowed to lie, and you're able to look at tweets and say she's lying about that.
If it's to protect Islam, yeah.
Okay. Can you show me any evidence that she's actually telling a lie here? Like, do you have any other tweet or speech where she's like in a mosque and she's recorded saying, guys, we should go cut up women's vaginas. We need to genitally mutilate all these women in the United States. We're going to get them. Do you have any tweets like that showing? Or is she just telling lies to the entire public, hoping that most people know that she's lying, and then they'll continue these practices in private?
No. She's saying it in front of millions of people, so people say, oh, okay, like, look, everyone's following her, so that must be what the plan is.
You don't think that if she builds a following,
she'll attack anyone that's LGBT that dares to speak out against.
If she runs around building a following, saying things like female genital mutilation is bad, and then one day she's like, by the way, female genital mutilation is good, you don't think her following will abandon her?
The thing is, well, because she doesn't want to say that until, like, it's safe for her to say
But
that.
if she says it after she's built a fan base of people that are anti-FJM, won't those people all abandon her as soon as she switches her views? You were bordering on conspiracy theory. We're way past into. You're saying that she's lying about a point of view. She's saying 2 + 2 is 4 all this time, and that 100 years from now, or I'm sorry, 5 years or 10 years from now, when she's built a whole audience that believes 2 + 2 is 4, she's just going to say, well, 2 + 2 is actually 5, and they're all just going to switch their beliefs instantly?
No, at the moment when she's going to say that, there's going to be no more people that can do anything against her. Okay. She's not going to say it while she still needs people.
Okay, I'm going to try to phrase this as generously as I can, and you tell me if you think this is a fair summary. Well, I don't want to move on because you keep wanting to move on from points.
I want to move back.
Okay, well, real quick. So you're telling me that this lady goes around the United States blatantly lying to people to try to grow a fan base, and that once she gets large enough, she's going to reveal her true beliefs in order to convert more people into what she believes.
No, well, other of her beliefs are out there too.
Okay, then that's what I was asking for before.
She's acting like a politician.
Where are her beliefs out there where she's pro-female genital mutilation? Can you show me where her beliefs are about that?
She was praising Saudi Arabia.
For what?
She was saying that because, wait, no, I don't want to mischaracterize her. Linda Sarsour. You can find it faster than me, probably.
So I see her saying something that,
What is it?
In 2014, Sarsour tweeted 10 weeks of paid maternity leave in Saudi Arabia. Yes, paid. And you're worrying about women driving puts us to shame? That seems like a pretty shitty thing to say. Doesn't say anything about female genital mutilation, though.
Well, no, because she's not going to tell... She doesn't consider it... Like, she's not going to go around saying something inflammatory. She wants people to be on her side.
Well, then how do you know she's pro-female genital mutilation? Let me ask you personally, how do you know?
Tweets, Sharia law is misunderstood and has been pushed as some evil Muslim agenda. Some Muslims are oppressors for sure. Basically, she's trying to pretend that Sharia law is not what it is.
Well, because a lot of people do misunderstand Sharia law. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with this tweet. She even says in this tweet, some Muslims are oppressors for sure. What's disagreeable about this statement?
That she's saying that we're misunderstanding Sharia law
What
when
do you think Sharia law is?
most people that apply Sharia law will tell you what it is, and they're gonna say it's not what she's saying.
Sharia law has many different interpretations depending upon which flavor of the Quran you decide to follow, depending on what hadith you believe in or what sect you're in. Sharia law is practiced very differently among many Muslims across the
Yeah,
world.
but I'm saying like even the most modern form of Sharia law is not
Careful. Do you
pro
really know
freedom.
that? Do you really think that? Do you really know that for sure?
Well, I wouldn't put my fucking hand in the fire of the tenants. I
Okay.
couldn't name you like exactly the tenants'
Sure.
differences.
So Sharia law practiced in Saudi Arabia is probably going to be a lot different than Sharia law practiced in Indonesia, where their head of state was a woman, right? These are going to be very different things versus Saudi Arabia, where women can't drive, right?
So you're bringing up Indonesia, right?
I'm just saying that Sharia law is often misunderstood. That people will say, well, Sharia
You're
law
saying
means
that, but I'm saying even the most sensitive version of Sharia law is still really pretty brutal.
no, it's absolutely because Sharia law just means that you like put some of your religious beliefs into like you enforce them religiously or whatever. Not all forms of Sharia, for instance, have you cutting off somebody's hand or chopping off,
Yeah,
somebody's
no, I
foot
didn't say
for.
that.
Okay, so not all forms of Sharia law are super brutal if you're a Muslim. I mean,
Well,
some people think that you should be punished for lying or stealing or whatever, not that you should be shot or stoned to death for being gay.
well, to me, any law that literally says like that gay people shouldn't be accepted is brutal.
Okay, well, then you're against the entire existence of the entire Christianity because most Christians believe that homosexuality is a sin. I know that's true
No,
under Catholic
because
doctrine.
Christianity is not attached to law.
Okay, sure, it's not.
The one of the only religions in the world that didn't separate itself state
Okay,
from
so,
religion
okay, hold
is
on.
Islam.
There's two things going on here. One, there are Muslims that are okay with practicing Sharia personally or in their community without making it actual law, firstly. Secondly, there are a lot of religious people that do try to codify their Christian beliefs into law. This is why we had a big fight with some people who wanted, like, monuments of the Ten Commandments up in courthouses, or Christians that try to make things like abortion illegal for religious reasons. Or why we have "In God We Trust" in our money, or why in 1952 we added "One Nation Under God" in our Pledge of Allegiance. So there are a lot of Christians that try to weasel religion into our law.
But we've already came to the conclusion that Christianity is on the decline.
Okay, that's fine, and Muslims seem to be getting more secular in the West. I mean, all I'm asking, going back to the very original thing here, was where are Muslims pushing for female genital mutilation in the United States? And all I've gotten so far is Linda Sarsour has a secret Alex Jones tier conspiracy theory to amass a following that doesn't know she's pro-female genital mutilation, and then eventually she'll reveal it.
Here in Canada, there's some prominent Muslim speakers that are actually calling for it.
Who?
I
Canada
have a problem with
female
name.
genital mutilation. Mutilation.
Mm.
In 1997, the Parliament of Canada passed an amendment to the Criminal Code of Canada expressly prohibiting all forms of female genital mutilation in Canada. That was 20 years ago. Are people trying to overturn this?
Otherwise, says female genital mutilation is abhorrent but offers no commitment to tracking cases. It's not being enforced, and there's actually people trying to promote it. Wait 1 second. Maybe I can find it this way. I should have. I didn't think about that actually. What's her name? Exactly.
In Canada, what it sounds like, this is from jihadwatch.org, it sounds like, and I read this in a little bit in a Huffington Post article, I'm just skimming these, but it sounds like what happens is people leave the country to go and get female genital mutilation and then come back to Canada.
Oh, that's really sad too, actually.
Sure.
I want to see the woman. She was doing a speech in front of everybody. I'm sorry, I should have found this before.
Well, like, the thing is that, first of all, we've moved from the United States to Canada, which is okay. I mean, if it's an issue in Canada, it might be. I've never heard of it, but it might be. But what I'm curious is, where are these big people? If big people were talking about it, shouldn't this be really easy to find?
No,
Like,
well, basically what
Canada,
I'm saying,
FJM, Muslim speaker.
where I was going. Okay, so basically, why I was making you don't even understand why I'm making a case that there's even any threat, right?
Well, I'm trying to find the threat, at least in the United
But
States,
because
yeah.
my the thing that we didn't get to actually is how fast the religion is actually growing. So, what was it here? Oh, I didn't even. Okay, I'm gonna try to find the fucking link because I think it's the median age of. I'm gonna go by heart because I can't find it. Okay, no, I found it. The median age of Muslims right now, all over the world, is 24,
Okay.
compared to everybody else, which is 32.
Okay.
Mormons, I think it was like 44, and so on and so forth.
Okay.
So basically, we're expecting a really big boom because not only their median age is really low, so a lot of them are on the verge of becoming of age of breeding.
Okay.
At the same time as that is happening, the other populations are breeding less and people are not converting. So basically, there's a trend happening. One column is going down and the other one's booming.
Okay. But we're talking about Muslims in the United States. You haven't demonstrated that any Muslims in the United States are pushing for female genital mutilation for this burgeoning Muslim population to take
Well,
on.
because that's not the hill I want to die on. That's just one of my points.
Well, that's the hill that I'm on right now, dying on.
Basically, what I'm trying to say is right now, you're saying that it's not something that's pushed a lot for.
In the United
And
States, yes.
And what I'm saying is that the reason why I feel it should be formed is because it's gonna boom. There's gonna be more and more of it.
But I
So
need
the
evidence
best
for
and
that.
safest way. What do you mean that the population is gonna boom?
That Muslims in the United States are going to start chopping up women's vaginas all over the place. Yeah.
Well, that's not sure. That depends if it decides to which sect it
So then
decides
we
to
don't
follow.
know. Okay, well then cool. Then let's move on to the next thing because female genital
Exactly.
mutilation isn't a thing. We don't know that Muslims are going to start pushing for that in the U.S. So what's next? Can I ask for another thing just to peer into your mind for 1 minute,
Okay.
Patricia?
Yeah.
Does it bother you that when I clearly demonstrate that Trump's Department of Justice has enacted anti-trans legislation, that you still say that he's not really a threat to people in the United States, but you're trying to say that in the
Here's
future,
$5
maybe
ticket. You
Muslims
earned it.
might grow
Well,
into a
people think-
population that's large enough to maybe push for views that might be, that you're willing to say that that is a threat? Does that contradiction bother you at all, or?
I see where you're coming from, and I'm able to admit that.
Okay,
I
I'm just
apologize for
curious.
that.
That's okay.
Yeah, no, I'm able to say that. But the reason why, firstly, I was saying about the Trump thing is because you're trying to say, as is, firstly, you're trying to say that everything he does is a Christian.
So
okay, and you say if a Muslim would do the same thing, so I'm saying okay, fine.
So I can admit that Trump himself may or may not be a Christian, but we have to be careful that we don't play the no true Scotsman card here, okay? Because Trump has an evangelical vice president. He's made pro-Christian statements a number of times throughout his career, and he's supported by the Republican Party, which identifies most with Christians, and the policy that he pushes for is some that's advocated by Christians. What I said earlier, and you agreed with it, is that if a Muslim did these same things and was backed by a Muslim party, supported by a Muslim majority that passed Sharia-like policy, you would 100% say this is an example of Islam trying to destroy values in the United States.
No, but I already admitted that wasn't
okay,
fair.
sure. So that's fine. I'm just saying that, like, I think that Trump's policies.
I'm just gonna repeat it.
Well, I'm reiterating. I'm just saying that I think that Trump, you can point as this is kind of like, well, because the whole center point of this argument was, what is a bigger threat right now in the United States? Christianity or Islam. I think I've demonstrated a couple ways in which Christianity is threatening to the United States right now, and I'm still waiting for you to demonstrate a single way in which Islam is harmful to the United States.
To me, you've proven how Trump is a threat to the United
Trump,
States
a self-proclaimed Christian,
by
backed by Christians, who pushes Christian policy.
executive action.
Okay.
So unless he uses executive action, we've came to the conclusion that there's not much that is going to go because everyone else is against what he's saying. The majority of people are against what he's saying.
Okay, do you want to argue about the effectiveness then of Trump as a leader? Because I won't disagree with you there. He's highly ineffective.
Well, for something to be a threat, you got to be effective.
Okay. I mean, he is the president, and Congress is
Well,
both
you just
have.
said he's not effective.
He's not very effective, and I don't think that
So how
they're going to
is he a
do.
threat?
Well, he could have been a threat with a Supreme Court nomination. Thankfully, Gorsuch doesn't
have.
seem as horrible as it could have been. There are still things that people like Sessions could do. I mean, the
Can
problem.
you not just give me that like you
Well,
see that he's
No, because like it bothers me that you say this as somebody who doesn't have to deal with these issues. Is that people will say like, well, you know, Trump isn't really going to do anything bad, but if you're an actual LGBT person living in the United States and you know that Congress is full of people that want to fucking ruin you and that the president
is that one
himself
moves
wants to ruin you, right? But your only saving hope is that hopefully a couple Republicans flip on any major legislation so I don't get fucked. That's not a really good feeling. And for you to dismiss the grievances or fears, very real fears that an LGBT person might have, that something really bad might be.
This conversation was not about Trump.
No,
It's
it was about
Christianity.
Christianity. Trump is a president that is identified as Christian. He's backed by a Christian party. He has an evangelical vice president, and he got the support of the majority of Christians during the election. So yes, Trump actions I will attribute to Christianity to some extent. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, well, when he's acting he's acting like that, he's acting against what a lot of Christians are about. A lot of them are actually about acceptance, about fucking tolerance, about pardon, what's that in English? That's like the biggest thing too.
Well, then that's fine. But then you have to point to the Muslim polls that show that, like, for instance, more Muslims are accepting of gay marriage than evangelicals, by almost twice the amount. So, I mean, like, then how are Muslims... If you're going to point to somebody like Trump and say because most Christians are okay with gay shit in the United States, we can ignore all these other things that Christians are doing, then how can you possibly say there might be one or two bad Muslims in the U.S., therefore all of Islam is a threat to rights in the United States?
That's not... I didn't say all of Islam is a threat to the United States.
You haven't demonstrated a single way that Islam is a threat to the United States.
Because in my mind, Christianity is not, and then Muslim is a little bit.
Okay, so here's my point. Here's
that
how.
Means,
oh, go ahead.
No. If one is not a threat, and the other one is a little bit of a threat, that means even if it's just a little bit of a threat, it's already more of a threat than the other one that's not a threat.
Okay, here is in my mind. Okay, if I wake up.
No, you're not even. You're just gonna soup over what I just said.
Well, of course, because what you just said was ridiculous.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is, because tomorrow there is no chance that I wake up and I read on whatever cuck news source I go to.
You mean like when you talk about the future of liberty and you mean like right now? That's it.
Sure. In the next like 4 to 8 years.
Well, then why have I been talking about the populations dying and all this stuff? Like if we're talking about only now.
So you want to talk about the potential state of affairs in the United States 20 years from now?
What's this conversation that we're having?
This conversation is about my primary tweet that is, what represents a greater threat to the rights of people in the United States right now, Christianity or Islam? So if I were to wake up tomorrow, if I were to read something like Muslims have found a way to revoke a certain right across the entire nation of gay people, that would be mind-blowing. I wouldn't even be able to believe it. How could Muslims have gotten so much power? That would be unbelievable.
Okay, but by your standards, none of them are a threat.
Exactly. Yeah, because they can't really do anything in the U.S.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So by your standards.
But my standards are what legislation can they pass, or how can they be effective politically? Yes. What standards are you using?
No, but you just basically what you're saying is that neither Christianity, neither Islam is a threat.
No, because I could wake up tomorrow and it's possible that something happens that reeks of Christian influence that does have a disproportionate impact of the rights of some people in the United States. For
Well, no, 'cause we
instance,
just came to
Trump
the-
tweeting out that he doesn't want any trans person in the military, or Trump's
that's not-
DOJ under Sessions rolling back some other type of LGBT protection.
But we came to the conclusion that 54% of the Christians are pro-LGBT.
But that doesn't mean the same thing to everybody.
So if Trump does something that's against what all the Christians want, that means that all Christians want it, even if they don't want it.
Okay. Like, just because you have a poll that says that 54% of Christians are pro-LGBT doesn't necessarily mean that they want them to get married or serve in the military. They could be discriminatory against them in some ways, but still say we're okay with these people as people.
Are we talking about their rights?
Yeah.
Because to me, it seems like the United States is a first world country.
Yeah.
It's not gonna like turn around and start killing the gays.
Not killing,
gonna
but that's not how
it's
we
not gonna
measure
start-
progress in our
Like,
country.
they're not gonna turn around and start to look. Everyone keeps saying that. I'm like,
No
it's
one is
illegal
saying
for them
that.
to electrocute the gay out of
This
somebody.
is so
like,
frustrating.
even if
Stop.
that guy
Listen to
wanted
what you're
that, you can't
saying.
do it.
Your bar for what is
telling
acceptable
you, there's
treatment
no
of
power.
homosexuals or LGBT people in the United States is as long as they're not getting fucking killed, it's okay.
That's not what I said.
That's what you just said. No one's going to kill them tomorrow. So what? Everything else is permissible? That argument is highly
Misconstruing what I
invalid.
say. You keep misconstruing what I say.
That is
That's so
exactly what you
disingenuous.
just said.
That's so disingenuous.
It's what you just said. No one's going to kill them.
No, that's not what I said. I'm saying you guys are making it sound like tomorrow the Christians can turn around and kill them all or fucking electrocute
No one
them
is
all.
saying that. Who
You
said
can't
that?
do that.
Who has said
You
that?
got-
Can you tell
Well,
me
you're
who in the
making-
mainstream
that's
media has said that?
That's what you're making it sound like.
No, I'm not. What I'm making it sound like is that LGBT people could lose some civil rights in the United States under a Trump administration. I've never said Trump is going to go around killing all the gay people.
Some civil rights?
Yeah.
What civil rights does he wants to take away from the LGBT?
Like protections about which bathroom they get to use, or the ability to serve in the military, or stuff like that.
Those are not civil rights.
Okay, what word would I use to describe these things?
They're definitely not civil rights.
Okay, what would you describe the ability to serve in the military? What word can I use there that would appease you?
Well, I think the word that people use is I said it earlier. Was it
Privilege?
Yeah, privilege.
Okay, then I would say that the Trump administration has the ability to revoke privileges from the trans or gay community.
And I would make the contingency that it's not affecting their human rights. If it's for the security of your country, it's different.
But nothing has been demonstrated that the security of our country will be improved. It's not
Well,
for the security of our
that's
country.
a whole different topic.
It's not a whole different topic for who?
Like for this discussion, you keep saying Trump. You keep show me, okay, show me proof
Yeah.
that Christians in the United States are against trans people.
Show you proof that Christians in the United States are against trans people. So the fact that Trump won the majority of the Christian vote.
That's not proof. That's You're making a correlation it's not. You can't make that correlation.
Okay.
That's
Religion, views, transgender, bathroom. Let's see.
No.
What? Most religious groups oppose allowing businesses to refuse service to gay and lesbian people on religious grounds. Services to gay and
Oops.
lesbian people. Oops, what? No, that's good. That's fine.
Well, because it sounded like you're saying that most religion groups are the opposite.
No, I'm not. I'm saying that when people push this type of legislation in the United States, it typically comes from Christians. When you talk about anti-abortion or anti-LGBT legislation, it's not coming from Democrats.
Christians. I'm saying it's not coming from Christianity. I'm saying it's coming from older generations of people. And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if you check the older Democrats, their views on that.
Mm-hmm.
I bet it would be pretty interesting. I'm not evil. Why can't you see that?
I'm not saying you're evil. I've never said you were evil, did I?
Well, you're making me sound like a bad person, man. You're trying, at least. I don't know if it's
I'm not
because you
trying to
think
make
it or
you sound
it's
like a
too.
bad person. It's
I
just that in
think
the
so.
United States, the Republican Party is typically the party that aligns itself the most with Christians, and the Republican Party is usually the one that's fighting against things like transgender shit and gay rights.
Yeah, but that's the Republican Party. Like I said, like I'd like to see like proof, or you show me proof of Christians being against trans people.
Destiny, I think the point you are trying to make is that while both Islam and Christianity
Remember, it has to
have
be like a
moderate and
majority, right?
fundamentalist
I'm sorry, what do you say?
It has to be a majority.
So the fact that the politicians themselves identify as Christian and push this anti-whatever... I'm just curious. So let's say there was a country where you had like an imam or a Muslim that had political power and he was pushing for anti-LGBT legislation or policy, that if you were to find that most Muslims in the country opposed it, you wouldn't consider that to be a Muslim thing, that he's pushing that?
No, I keep having to say not all as well. I'm saying not all Christians, but I'm saying not all Muslims on a regular basis. Just like I'm saying not all gamers and not all everything. That's what I mean. Like you make a lot of big generalizations, but then when it's about the groups that you feel like protecting, then you're against those same generalizations.
If I make an unfair generalization, feel free to tell me what an unfair generalization is that I'm making is.
Okay, well. You kept making a bunch.
What, can you name an unfair generalization that you think I made?
That Christians are against trans people because Trump. That's an unfair generalization.
What about the Vatican saying that Catholics aren't allowed to be, that transgender Catholics aren't allowed to be godparents? Does that count as anti-trans discrimination?
Oh, are they American?
No, but American Catholics would have to follow any teachings that come from the Vatican. That's how the Catholic Church works.
Well, no, actually, I think there's also some pretty nice Pew research about how people hold their beliefs, their belief system, and all of that, and what they care about the most. And like I say, like a lot of people
just
have
go
been
to
raised
godhatesfags.com
in a way that they're surrounded. They find out their best friend is gay, like, or trans and things like that. Like you keep saying the old ways like it's the only way, but I'm telling you the majority of Christians that you're shitting on are not the way you paint them as. You know, for a lot of people, it's way harder for was it? There's a joke that like gay people say. They're saying it was way easier to come out as gay to my Republican friends than to come out as Republican to my gay friends. And that's a joke that's being said. And I'm centrist, but it's just because I talk to a lot of people on both sides, and I've heard this joke many times, and it feels true. Like they get really attacked.
Republican legislators.
Like you're trying to say something, and I see the opposite. You know. I don't think the all Christians deserve to be painted the way that you're painting them.
Sure, I don't necessarily disagree with that, but I mean, the
most of them-
anti-LGBT stuff comes from Christians. Like
most
it's
of them
Christian
would
values.
see
Like
Nick
it's where it
Fuentes
comes
and
from.
would be offended.
What?
Most of them would see Nick Fuentes and would also be offended.
Yeah, probably because he's like much more extremist. But
because most Christians they're not following the Old Testaments anymore. Most of them, what was it? I don't remember where it is. Was it 35 more? No, more than that. A giant part of them do not read the Bible.
yeah, sure.
Like at all. I don't I'll check on a computer. I'll find it easier than on my pages. My notes are useless.
She's acting as if people only have human rights, taking away the ability to join the military or use proper bathroom or civilian rights. Those can be taken away 100%.
I can't find it.
So
I
here's
have
a
a
Pew
little bit of
Research
ADD.
poll
I'm gonna have
that
a
says 6 in 10 regular churchgoers say transgender people should be required to use public restrooms of gender they were born into. So this breaks it down based on how religious you are. So if you are
wait, say
somebody,
that again.
this
Say
breaks
that
it
again.
down based on like how, I guess, closely you follow your religion. So if you attend religious services weekly or more, then you have a 34% chance of saying that transgender people should be allowed to use the restroom that they currently identify with. If you attend less often, like I don't know, less than once a week, I guess, then you have a 57% chance of using the bathroom that you want to. Did you see the link I sent you? I phrased that really poorly.
So what was it? Do you want to just say the percentages again? If you go
Very
every
religious
week,
people say 34%. Not as religious people say 57%.
did you send? It's the sentence before that. Like,
I sent
go
you a
back.
link in the thing. Did you see the link I sent you?
I'm going now. Okay, I'm clicking on it.
And then go down to that second graph thing.
Didn't mean to offend. That's the
1,
Westboro
2.
website.
Yeah. 6 in 10 regular churchgoers say transgender.
One of the problems that we're having in this discussion is that there are a lot of Democrats that claim that they're Christian. There are a lot of Republicans that claim that they're Christian. But
I
when it
bet a
comes to
phantom
actually
pain
making
analysis-
decisions about like what policy they want to push, I don't feel like Democrats usually dip into their Christianity to do it, whereas Republicans
Exactly.
seem much more likely to dip into their Christianity to do it. So if you were to,
No, exactly.
let me put it this way, if you were to get rid of Christianity from the United States, the Democrat platform probably wouldn't change that much. The Republican platform would dramatically change, is what I feel
Well, it
like.
is changing right now, exactly, because
Okay, we're not talking about changes in the
different-
future, though. The question was what right now represents a greater threat to like LGBT rights or a threat to rights in the United States in general, whether it's Christians or Muslims.
Okay. So basically, your thingy shows attendance weekly or more.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then me, I have this graph here that says that 47% go
you
at
link
least
me?
once a week.
Yeah, can you link
Right?
me?
Yeah. Oh, I think it's the same link as we were earlier. No, wait. No, that's not. That's the wrong one. No, that's the right one. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm looking at the attendance at religious service chart. I remember her earlier how I was making a point that like the boomers
Yep.
were the not accepting ones.
Yep.
And it's funny because like the amount of people that are against gay rights is about the amount of people that attend once a week.
Okay, so
And
if you
it's
look at the
also
link
about
that
the
I
amount of
sent
people,
you.
the old ones.
Okay, but you don't. So I hate to do this to you, but you don't really have any data that backs that point up.
So 50% of them go at least once a week. Almost, okay, a little under 50% go at least once a week.
Okay.
A little under 57%,
A little
50%. A little under 50% don't believe gay homosexuality should be accepted.
You're just saying that because this number, because less than half, a little bit less than half of Christians go at least once a week, and then less than half of them like think that.
Okay.
Like,
No.
you have to. Like you can just, if you want, you can just scroll up on this link that I gave you, and this shows breakdown by age. Allowed to use allowed to use the public restrooms of the gender which they currently identify. Most young people think they should from age 18 to 29.
Exactly.
But we don't have a religious breakdown there. It might be that of those young people, only 20% go to church once a week or more. And maybe of that group, there's still a lot of those people that believe that they shouldn't be allowed to go to the bathroom that they feel the most comfortable in, right? We would have to get more data on the specific breakdown of numbers by age and church attendance, which probably exists out there, but...
Well, I agree with that. That we would need, it would be helpful to have more breakdowns by age. Actually, wait, what was that page I was at? I wish I wasn't so ADD right now. I'm trying not to smoke pot, but it's not helping. Okay, so you're saying that the people of of the religions, the ones that attend once a week or more are the ones that are pro to be against trans toilet rights. And then if you check the breakdown of all Christians, 47% of them go all the time, once a week.
Yeah, but you don't
Or
know
at
that
least-
these numbers are exactly the same across both groups. You would have to have another polling of that. Like what you're saying is like, let's say that I say 45% of Americans are against gay rights and 45% of Americans are Muslims. Welp, looks like every Muslim is against gay rights. That doesn't, you can't do that, right?
No. It's because you're saying that like the link that you just showed me, basically. You're saying that where the ones that attend a lot, 60% of them, 60% of churchgoers, the people that go all the time, think that.
Yeah.
And then I'm telling you that only 47% of all Christians go that often.
Okay.
So basically it's 60% of that 47%.
Okay.
Do you understand how small it gets?
Yeah, sure. So this would come out to like maybe around 28% of all Christians. Sure.
So that's not a majority of them that are against trans people.
I
So you
never said
haven't
it was a
proven that.
majority of them.
Well, yeah, because I'm trying
I'm
to
saying that if you were to find people in the United States that represented a threat to LGBT people, that the largest groups would be Christian. If we were to go
No.
and pull these numbers from atheist groups, do you think there are large numbers of atheists that are against LGBT rights? It's going to come
No,
from
you were
Christians.
saying that Christians are a threat to
I'm
trans
saying they're
rights.
the biggest threat.
But I'm saying that they're not a threat, as the majority of them are not against trans people. And now
Okay.
it's up to you to prove that they're against trans people.
This is what's happening. Let's say that
No. You
okay,
have to
can
prove me that they're against trans people.
I
You
already
still
have.
haven't
I
done
can
that.
show you legislation that like an administration that is like majority Christian and Christian backed and Christian
No, we
supported.
came.
But you're saying that because
Broad generalizations
52%.
are not okay. You told me to call you out when you do that. That's a broad generalization.
Okay, tell me if you would agree or disagree with this. Okay, I'm gonna make a statement that people. I'm gonna make a statement that people B are a threat to dogs. Okay, and I walk into a classroom. Let's say that in this classroom there are 50 people A and 50 people B. Now let's say that if I pull both of these groups, 100% of people A love dogs, okay? And 26% of people B love dogs, but 24% of them hate dogs, okay? So if I come out and I say, that's what I mean, people B are the threat to dogs, would you say to me, well, no, a majority of people B actually like dogs? Would that be your statement? Or would you go, oh, well, even though most people B like dogs, 24%, a significant number of them, really don't like dogs. And everybody in Group A seems to like dogs. So yeah, the biggest threat to dogs are going to be that minority of people, however large or small, from people B. And they're large enough to
No.
have political influence. You wouldn't agree with that?
No, because we're talking about the American judiciary, the American your Congress and everything, how it's split up. So to be able to pass something, you don't even not only need to get the majority, but you also need it to go through the legislations.
Okay.
So if Christians are, there's not even that many, most of them aren't that Christian, and then so you need a big amount of them to get a majority in the country to get anything done in that manner.
Then how is it that you have, if most Christians are chill and stuff, why do you have states like Texas and whatnot that put up all these roadblocks for women to go and get abortions? All of these are pushed by people that are pushing like from a Christian point of view. Or does it not count since most Christians around the country seem to disagree with it?
Well, no, but we're talking about America. You're making it sound like she can't get an abortion in the country.
No, Texas is a state in the United States.
Well, now, if you want to, I'm not having a debate about Texas right now.
Okay, across a large number of states in the United States, or at least most of the southern ones, Republicans, under Christian values, try to put up roadblocks for women seeking abortions. But this isn't...
Try to put up, or they put them up?
Well, in some states they have put them up, and in other states they push for it.
So you're going to say that because they're doing that, that means that all Christians are just gonna have to bear the burden. That's not a broad generalization.
I'm not saying that all Christians have to bear the burden. I'm just saying that Christian thought tends to be where most of this comes from. That
That
most of
seems
the
like a broad generalization to me.
Okay. What if okay. Um I'm sorry, I'm just collecting my thoughts. I'm trying to think for a moment, okay?
No problem. I've never seen you do that.
I try to as much as I can. What if I said Republican Christians? Do you think that would be okay?
Well, I wouldn't have taken the debate.
Okay.
So do you understand why I thought it was silly for us to have this debate?
I don't know. Why was it silly for us to have this debate?
Well, because you're doing broad generalizations about Christians because you're so built up against it that you miss out the fact that Christianity has really changed a lot.
Well, not really. It's just a lot of people don't follow
Muslim
as
terror
many
attacks
Christian
have
beliefs
nothing
anymore.
to do with Islam, because
Well, no,
majority
they
denounce
interpret it in a different
terrorism.
way. People hate when I say that about Muslims. So you would say that I'm wrong if I said that about Muslims, I mean.
Say what about Muslims?
That they're not practicing their religion, or because they're practicing less, they're not practicing it or something?
No, I mean, I would probably agree with that. I don't like Islam. I mean, I hate all religion. I don't necessarily like when people attack. So, like, for instance, I would never say that, like, countries of Christian people can never be supportive of gay rights, right? America is still largely a Christian nation and it's supportive, but it's because a lot of the Christians are becoming more and more secularized, right? Does that make sense?
I think a lot of the well, yeah, that makes sense, yeah.
But that a majority of the threat to different groups in the United States still comes from Christian belief.
But there would be a threat if they would be like a
84%
majority,
of baby
or
boomers
if
consider
your
themselves
your
Christian.
system wasn't in
I
place.
would assume that the
Well, but
majority
Trump's
of
adminis-
Republicans are baby
The
boomers.
reason why I'm obsessed with this, like,
Republicans
I
have
want to
power.
leave Canada.
Christians
Canada is
have
fucked.
power.
I
How
wanna
is
have
Canada
kids.
fucked?
I want to have kids. I can't even go to university. Like, I would get kicked out after a month
Why?
just because of the way I speak. Because they said we're retarded or crazy.
They kick you out of school for saying the word
Man,
retarded?
shit's really bad. In Canada, they have a system where they go test freedom of speech in universities. And it's really not looking good, man. It's really not.
Wait, you're telling me that in Canadian universities, you will get kicked out if they hear you say the word retarded?
Well, now they're putting speech laws, actually.
Like what
Yeah.
kind of speech law?
Wait, was it? Well, they want to ban the word lame.
Have they banned the word lame?
Well, I stopped looking into it because it pissed me off, and because I wanted to go in journalism, and then I was like, well, f that.
Has any serious what do you have, parliament? What do you call your body, your governing body in Canada? Has anybody pushed to have the word lame banned in Canadian
Oh, you don't know what
colleges?
happened at that poor girl?
No, what poor girl?
Oh, what's her name? Oh my god, it's so sad, actually. She put a video up of Jordan Peters having
I heard about that. It was really dumb, but I don't think she got kicked out of school, and that was just one professor.
Well, no.
I can find you tons of videos of
They're
tons of...
threatening her of a bunch of things. Did you listen to the audio? Oh my god.
I listened to some of it. Yeah, it sounded like a real dumb professor.
They're in big trouble.
But that has nothing to do with legislation being passed to
Yes.
prohibit people from saying the word lame in Canadian
Well,
university.
now we have legislation laws about gender pronouns. What do you mean? Like, it's
What
happening.
legislation laws about gender pronouns?
Bill C-16? Bill C-16?
What do you think Bill C-16 does?
It makes it so that people in a so like, the thing with C-16, the problem with that is the loose terms that they use. They made it so loose and broad.
Is there any
that
evidence
soon-
of anybody so far being punished or jailed or
Yes.
fined because of Really? So if I go to search for people punished, so Canadians punished C-16,
It started.
I can find people being thrown
Look
in
it up,
jail
man.
I have. I've never in my life heard of somebody being jailed or fined because of the
because they
C-16
have to go to
legislation.
court in front of the law just passed.
Okay, so there is no example of, and didn't it pass like a few months ago? This was months ago, wasn't it?
Yeah. What's her name? That chick. The thing, what they told her, basically, they say if you keep doing this speech that we are against of, even if you're not even biased in argument, like she wasn't even taken aside. She's not allowed to do that. If you don't see how that's a threat on free speech, I don't know what to tell you.
I've never heard of anybody being punished under Bill C-16 in Canada.
Well, no, now we're switching the topic. You asked me to name you, but I don't want to debate C-16 right now.
Okay, well, you brought it up as an example
you're going
of.
further.
I'm not. Well, you brought it up as an example of people being
No, but
punished.
you give me one legislation that's about words, and I gave you one.
Yeah, but C-16
I
just had
didn't say that there's victims of it yet. That's another discussion.
I was under the impression that C-16, the idea behind that bill was to just make it so that trans people had the same gender protection laws as other like sexually protected classes like gay people.
No, it's the pronoun part.
Okay, what is the pronoun part? So C-16 will fine you for accidentally misgendering somebody, or will C-16 fine you because you intentionally?
They want a teacher at the beginning of the class. He's gonna have to ask everybody what they are and put it. They want him to put in his phone notes for every student.
So in C-16, in part of the legislation, it says every professor has to ask a student at the beginning of the class and then put into their phone what gender pronoun they should.
He asked them. He's like, "How do I know?"
Okay, I'm just curious. How many Jordan Peterson videos have you watched?
Maybe like 10.
Okay. Do you think that the New York gender protection law is the same thing as the C-16 gender protection law?
I haven't even heard about it. To be honest, I'm gonna be honest. I'm not gonna.
It's the same thing. People, centrists, made the same claims. But really, all it does is it makes it so that if you've got somebody in your class and they're clearly a transgender woman, you're not allowed to call them butch and say he or him or do it in a way that's discriminatory towards them in an intentionally harassing way. Otherwise, you would get in trouble the same way you would if you were making fun of somebody for being gay or lesbian.
But why didn't they just write the legislation that way then?
That's pretty much what they did, didn't it? Didn't they for C-16?
No, the wording is really bad, man.
Has it been demonstrated that anybody has been taken?
Well, that's a different topic.
That's directly related.
It's a law that they put to police people's speech, literally. And they didn't say that XIM and XIT wouldn't be a part of that. Like, it doesn't say, like, it has to be smart pronouns. Like, if they would have said, okay, here's, like, 5 pronouns, she, they, XIM. Pick one of the weird ones, plus they. If they would have put that in the legislation, most people wouldn't have had a problem with that.
The purpose of this act is to extend the laws in Canada to give effect within the purview of matters coming within the legislative authority of Parliament to the principle that all individuals should have an opportunity equal with other individuals to make for themselves the lives that they are able and wish to have, and to have their needs accommodated consistent with their duties and obligations as members of society without being hindered in or prevented from doing so by discriminatory practices based on race, national or ethnic origin, color, religion, age, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity or expression, marital status, family status, disability or conviction for an offense for which a pardon has been granted or in respect of which a record suspension has been ordered. Which part of this is like the open disagreeable part?
How many laws is the bill?
How many laws is the bill?
Yeah.
Which seems like it was an act that amends your
pages.
currently
Sorry,
existing.
I said pages.
It looks like it's
My
like
head.
1 or 2 paragraphs.
Here. Here, I'll send you something. She's a lawyer. She's ridiculous. But terrifying all at the same time. And at the end of it, she's like, why do you have to use my pronouns? Because it's the law.
Hi.
And
I'm
that's the
Adrian
thing.
Smith.
That's what they want.
Okay, can I
It's
watch
not
this? Give me
only-
a minute and a half to watch this, okay? Very quick, all right? Hold
Yeah.
on 1 second.
Hi, I'm Adrian Smith. I'm a Vancouver lawyer and a QB member. I'm here to talk to you about why it's important to use appropriate pronouns for transgender people. But before we get that far, what do all these terms mean? A transgender person is someone whose gender identity doesn't necessarily line up with the sex that they were assigned at birth. For example, when a baby is born and the doctor says, "It's a boy!" we all expect that little boy to grow up to be a man. But that's not actually true for most trans people. Some trans people are assigned male at birth, but identify as women when they grow up. Some trans people are assigned female at birth, but identify as men when they grow up. There are some other trans people who don't agree with the gender binary and don't identify as masculine or feminine. Those folks, like me, are called non-binary or gender non-conforming. So what about pronouns? A pronoun is a word that stands in for a name. Some common ones are he and she, but some non-binary people and other trans folk might use they or z or something else. So why does it matter? It's important to use the appropriate pronouns for trans people for a number of reasons. The first reason is that it's the law. Recent changes to the PC Human Rights Code and the Federal Human Rights Act make discrimination on the basis of gender identity and gender expression forbidden. Trans people have always been protected on the basis of sex, but this explicit protection makes our obligation as coworkers and as union members even more clear. Another reason that it's important to use appropriate pronouns for trans people is so that we can do our part to fight back against transphobia. Transphobia is a pattern of negative conduct towards trans people that begins with misgendering and can end with violence and murder. Every November 20th, on Transgender Day of Remembrance, we memorialize the hundreds of trans people who were killed that year just because they were trans. The most important reason to use appropriate pronouns for trans people is because of the message it sends when you don't. If you make an assumption based on somebody's name or their appearance and say, "Hey brother, hey sister," you might be getting it wrong, and you're saying to that trans person that you know who they are better than they do. But that's not how gender works. We all have the autonomy to decide what our gender is, and the sensitive thing to do is to ask. Asking people's pronouns doesn't need to be complicated or scary. It can be like this. "Hi, my name is Adrian. Nice to meet you. Your name? What pronouns do you use?" "Great, I use they, them, and their." Now that you've asked and you know, you can work towards using those pronouns all the time. Is a word that stands in for a name. Some common ones are he and she, but some non-binary people and other trans folk might use they or z or
Okay, so it sounds like she's saying that you should refer to people as he, she, they, or z.
And more.
Well, I didn't hear anything else.
Oh, yeah, she said and others. Look at it again.
or
You
z
missed
or
it, what
something
she
else.
said right
Okay, it
after.
says or something else, I guess, for pronouns. So
I guess.
why
It's
is
a
this
big
a
deal.
huge?
It's non-binary.
Why is this a big deal?
Basically, the thing with this is like they're telling us what words to utter. So if it was a lot I was saying, you're not allowed to say this, it's different.
So if somebody is working with you and they say like, "Hey, could you just refer to me as they instead of using he or she?" That would
I'm
like
fine with that.
incense you. Okay, then what's
My friend transitioned, and I'm one of her only friends that said the right thing, the right gender.
so
The
what
right
is so what's the
pronoun,
what's the problem with this?
the problem with this is the loosely they write these very loosely, so it ends up protecting even people that want to abuse it, like zit and things like that.
Has there
So
ever been an example of somebody abusing this and getting away with it and then pressing charges against somebody for it?
people don't want laws on the words they utter. Do I have
But
to
you
convince
already
you of
have
that? Why do I have
in
to
Canada.
debate
Can
it?
I walk up to you and call you and like scream at you like the worst things I want or whatever? I don't know. If
That's
you're
a
allowed
law of not what not to say. That's different.
Well, nobody's telling you you could just never use a pronoun and just refer to them by their name.
I don't see why they couldn't have just say they and z. Like
You could
they're-
probably say they and that's fine.
well, that's the problem. Like
I
they
told
put it
Samantha
so
to go and
loosely.
like what is
They're
Samantha?
writing laws very loosely. It's dangerous, and a lot of
Okay,
people don't like that.
If I
It's
if I were to say that
1984.
Samantha is over there cleaning the dishes and somebody's like, "Oh, what's Samantha doing?" Like, "Oh, well, they're over there cleaning the dishes." Do you think Samantha, because they want to be referred to as Zarian, like the pronoun Zariathia, like is going to press charges against me because I used they to refer to?
Well, if they have a bone to pick, yes.
Does this? But this has
Because
never
humans
happened
are
before ever.
all humans have the power to be good and bad, you know. And then if you put legislations on speech like that, that can be abused. I feel like it's authoritarian, and I'm just very anti-authoritarian. That's why I'm against that.
Okay. Well, in the future, if anything actually comes of this, can you send me a DM and we can come on and I'll admit how wrong I was? If somebody comes and they're being taken to jail or fined or going to court, well, not going to court because you can go to court for fucking anything.
But what's happening to that woman is pretty bad.
What woman?
The one we talked about, the teacher, not replacement teacher, but
The student or whatever?
yeah.
I thought, didn't the school apologize to her? Aren't we done with that? What else is happening?
It's not done with that. The chick, like, you should listen to the
I did
sound
listen to
thing.
some of it. It
It's
sounded like a
a-
really
it's like
stupid college professor, but I don't see why I should really care that much about it.
Well, because basically they're saying that this is a thing. Like, it's just starting.
So
they,
because
they compared putting a speech of Jordan Peterson to Hitler.
okay, so because
Don't you see
how
a
many
problem?
No, I don't. Has this happened in multiple colleges?
It's happening all over.
Where else has it happened?
Look, I'm not gonna. Okay, wait.
If it's happening all over, it should be easier to find more than one example.
The measure of freedom of speech in Canadian universities? Because there's some actual like data about this, like official. There's a Campus Freedom Index.ca. Here, I'm gonna send you this. Be ready to be appalled.
I'm reading a link right now. Hold on.
I pressed Ontario. There's one A. The rest is all F's. C is the most prevalent one. If I check Quebec, I'm in Quebec, and I speak a certain way. There's not that many that I could go to. I could go to Concordia, and even it's not where I want to go. Anyways, like, I'm not gonna talk about my personal stuff. I'm just saying, like, the state of free speech is bad. It's because of academia. Like, people have been indoctrinated and all. And
Why
then
is this girl arguing against
activists,
trans
and
rights when she's
that's what they're
obviously just a gender
educated
bent?
to do? Is
Athene.
to provoke, like, 1984 wasn't warning about people of the right.
Please don't bring up 1984.
I'm honest. Hillary was trying to say that. I'm like, dude.
Well, 1984 pretty closely aligns with people like Trump than people saying that, like, you can't be mean to trans people. The interpretations of 1984 to make it sound like gay people are absolutely insane. I'm convinced that. Have you read 1984?
I didn't say anything about gay people. What are you talking about?
Okay. I mean, like, the constant
Who said that? Who are you talking to? Jesus Christ.
Well, I don't know how you get 1984 was about, like, the left taking over or something. Like, when one of the big...
It's speech. It's controlling people's speech. It's sanitizing everything.
Sure, to some extent, yeah.
Giant government.
Sure.
It's like a monitoring.
It's also about like rewriting. It's also about like rewriting history and saying certain things are true that aren't true, which is something that Trump does.
Tearing statues down.
Which is something like Trump does.
Like
making up lies, like being in wars forever and declaring wars against random countries all the fucking time.
Like YouTube is censoring songs on songs and stuff now. And like 1984 is very much show about people policing each other, policing themselves.
Wait, have you actually read 1984? I'm curious.
Yes.
Okay.
When I was a teenager. It's been a while, but not that old.
All right. Well, hey, are there any other issues or topics you wanted to talk about?
Well, if we're just talking about the American one.
I don't know anything about Canadian universities. It wouldn't surprise me if they fail on... I would have to look into who this, the Campus Freedom Index, on how they measure it or whatever. It wouldn't surprise me if free speech was pretty fucked on campuses. I mean, that seems to be true in the United States. I think it's definitely a problem. I don't think it's a large problem or the biggest problem the U.S. is facing, like a lot of the enlightened...
Well, that's why I want to move to the States and not to Sweden.
What? Why? What?
Or the UK. I wanted to move to the UK. Now people are getting jailed for tweets or Facebook posts and shit.
Weren't those because people thought that they were like threats?
This guy in Scotland got put in jail because he made a video of a Nazi pug.
Yeah, that was pretty dumb. I thought that was pretty dumb. Man, that
it's
guy
all countries.
is...
I was thinking of moving there.
That guy is really fucking retarded, though. Whew, I feel a lot less...
You think I can move there now? No, but me, I'm the way I am. I'm not going to move there now.
Sure. Yeah, I can't really speak to like freedom of speech in countries like Canada or the UK. I probably would disagree with a great deal of how they do it because the United States is pretty unique in that.
Well, that's why a lot of people are looking at it and marvel, so obsessed with it, and that's like if I do end up having kids, like hopefully I'm gonna vote conservatives here and hope for the best, but like I don't know, man.
Please.
I'm just very anti-authoritarian.
Okay. Do you like Trump?
I like him more than most politicians you guys had. I loved Obama. The first term, I was one of his biggest Canadian supporter.
How does it make you feel when Trump tries to do like state-run media stuff and discredit or discourage the other media? These are like key like authoritarian kind of points of view. Does that bother you at all?
Obama had this thing that this snitching program.
I'm not talking about Obama. I'm talking about Trump.
Well, no, exactly.
When
You
Trump
keep
says, well, yeah, I want to talk about Trump because Trump is the president. I don't really care about Obama anymore. So when Trump says things like, I think all media against me that's bad is fake news, and I have my own like state media tweets and stuff where I get creepy people to read things that are all supporting me, does that bother you in like an authoritarian kind of way, or?
it would bother me if he tried to shut down the fake news. Yeah.
So what about when Trump said that he wasn't going to allow certain types of press into the White House press office, or when he said that they weren't allowed to broadcast it live anymore? You were only allowed to go in and take notes. You weren't allowed to record it.
I think that's stupid on his part.
But not authoritarian?
Yeah, I think that's authoritarian. I don't agree with everything he does.
Okay. When Trump talked about suing journalistic organizations because he didn't like what they were publishing about him, did that sound kind of authoritarian?
Because he's the president, yeah.
When Trump made statements about how NFL players...
Did I say that, like,
You
if
said
I
you
ran
liked him
against
more than
Trump-
Hillary, so I'm just curious because Trump seems to be pretty authoritarian to me in a number of ways. So I'm just curious, like, what actions he's done that makes you think
Okay.
he's not authoritarian.
So are you for the prison complex?
No, of course not.
Are you for the drug war?
No, definitely not.
Are you for the bombing of a bunch of countries in the Middle
Can
East?
you ask
No,
her to
definitely
stop
not.
calling you man?
How could you back Hillary?
Doesn't she know that she...
Honestly, I probably would have backed Hillary just as the Supreme Court nominee, but I really don't like, but I think Hillary probably would have had better positions on the economy, better positions on the Supreme Court stuff, probably at this point, probably a better foreign policy position since Trump has kind of fell apart there as well.
Didn't you admit that his Supreme Court nominee isn't as bad as you thought he would be?
Well, no, but it's definitely not a liberal. Gorsuch is very much a conservative. I just thought he was going to be some... I thought he was going to nominate fucking Alex Jones or some shit. That dude is insane.
So, we got some middle ground we can find,
No, I have no middle ground with Trump. Absolutely
No, with
not.
me.
Oh, with you? Oh, maybe. I don't know.
Like, let's admit it. Like, Hillary is pretty much like McCain. Like, they're very...
I don't... Well...
They're the same type of generation.
Maybe. I mean, she's probably more similar to McCain than she is to Trump, I guess. Maybe.
She's very more similar to McCain than she is to, let's say, Sanders.
Fuck, what were McCain's specific policy positions in 2008? I feel like on taxes and whatnot, I feel like McCain would have been far more right-leaning than Hillary. For instance, the tax reform that the Republicans are trying to push now, I don't think Hillary would have ever been trying to push for these types of taxes. I don't think, but maybe she would have. I'm not sure. McCain...
In the warmongery part?
What?
In the war?
The warmongering, McCain seemed to be really intelligent in foreign policy, but Trump is pretty warmongery as well. He's made a lot of like very, very insightful statements towards North Korea. He's done a lot to roll back our relations with people like Cuba and Iran. He bombed the fuck out of Syria's airport in response to another sarin gas attack. I mean, drone strikes.
Yeah, and all the Democrats were saying they're like bomb them. I was like, Jesus Christ, what are you guys doing? You guys are crazy.
So that is the most untrue statement that I've ever heard in my entire life.
Oh, you could go check out TV. Their statements. They're like, oh, he's not gonna, because he's in Putin's back pocket. Blah blah. He's not gonna do it. Don't remember that?
I absolutely remember it. I see
They were, like,
very
taunting him to do
specific
it.
polls. Hold on, I can actually find these.
No, I'm talking about the leaders. I'm
talking about the political
People you
parties
see.
themselves.
Yeah.
that Democrats have always been pretty much against Syrian attacks. Republicans were against it under Obama, but they were very much in favor of it under Trump.
No, but it was human rights.
What about
They
human
thought
rights?
the media's made them think that it was the government that used that under people. So that's why they wanted it to be bombed. And I was like, okay, I know you guys care about human rights, but like, wait to see if they did it before you bomb them. And then they're like, no, human right.
What? Wait, the
Anyway.
UN said the UN said the government bombed them back when Obama did it.
No, I'm saying when he bombed Syria, the reason he did that is because they're saying that Assad had used chemical weapons on his people.
Yeah,
No?
and they said the same thing under Obama.
You mean the Democrats?
What?
I'm saying when that happened, they were taunting him they wanted him to punish him for doing that to his people before even knowing what happened. Both sides were doing that, and I was like, what are you guys doing? And I'm like, Democrats, aren't you supposed to want to protect them? You know?
I'm having
Because I'm in the middle, so when both are acting crazy, I'm able to say it. I don't have any affiliations.
Hold on, just give me a minute. I want to find this polling data. 1 second. Okay, hold on, guys. There
I
is
don't
very
have
specific.
affiliation. Like, I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Democrat or Republican. I'm neither. And here, I'm
Okay.
not a liberal, and I'm not a conservative.
In 2013, 38% of Democrats supported Obama's plan. And when Trump bombed Syria's airport, 37% of Democrats backed Trump's missile strikes. So this is about the same amount of people that backed Trump's strikes, backed Obama's strikes. In 2013, when Barack Obama...
Oh, you mean the people Democrats? Not the representative, like, not the people, like, that go on TV.
Oh, no. I think this is just polling of the entire people's parties in general, party
No,
opinions. There were probably
I'm
big
saying,
Democrats that were...
when I say, like, the
possible.
people taunting him to attack, I'm not talking about the American people. I'm talking about the people that went on TV.
Okay.
All the Democratic officials, you know?
Oh, I guess some of them probably said it. Sure, maybe.
And I was like, wow, like, how is this not an outrage? Like, you know? And then he did that, and I was like, ugh, he fucked up. He fell for it. He fell oh man, I was so bummed when he did that. I was so bummed, because I knew Assad didn't do it before he even bombed him. So when it bombed, I was like, oh my god, you fell for it. He started working like he's like, we drain the swamp, and then he does what the swamp would have done. Pissed me off. I'm not like a Trump fan like that. I agree with everything he does. I'm not even like right. I'm like, I put my political compass on my YouTube. I'm dead center. When I say leaning right, is like I'm hugging the middle line.
Gotcha.
Like halfway between on the bottom boxes, I'm halfway down to libertarian.
Okay. Wait, so what were we... Wait, did you say... So you don't think Assad bombed any of the people?
I don't think Assad used chemical weapons on his people that time that he got bombed for it.
Wait, when
I
Trump
think
did it?
Did it get proved afterwards? Yeah, Trump bombed somebody that didn't... He bombed the airspace, I think.
Yeah, he
And
bombed
the guy
one of their air
hadn't even
bases.
used he hadn't even used chemical weapons on his people.
Wait, do you
It's
think he's ever
stupid.
used chemical weapons on his people?
Oh, that I don't know. I would have to look into it.
So you think that rebels captured gas and then used it against their own people?
Not necessarily. Maybe they were storing it somewhere and something happened.
Weren't these actual, like, missiles launched? Like Scud missiles or whatever that launched these gas attacks?
Well, because some people say that maybe like the missiles blew up somewhere that was storing it.
Why did the United States attack after that, then?
I don't know. It was ridiculous. Because people thought it was Assad. The whole medias were saying it was Assad. And I'm like, it's not the first time they would have blamed him and then proven afterwards that he didn't do it. It happened before in the past. I don't remember the date, but you can look it up.
I'm just curious. Why do you think that Assad didn't do it?
Because why would he use that on his people and betray international law and everything?
I don't know. Why did he do it the first
Fucking
time?
dumb. The first time it got proven that he didn't do it. Well, I don't know, not the first time, but there's another time that for sure got proven he didn't do it.
When was this? Because the UN never agreed on that. I'm pretty sure the UN inspectors all came to a unanimous conclusion that Assad and his army was the one behind the chemical weapons attacks.
You mean the most recent one?
The most recent one, the UN and the United States intelligence community agree that it was Assad, but ones in the past have been agreed that it was Assad as well. Yeah, I remember specifically reading into the Ghouta chemical weapon attacks.
I didn't know that.
Oh, well, it kind of sounded like you were.
That's nice to know the update on that.
Wait, I'm curious. Do you think that Russia has any influence at all right now in American politics? That Russia tried to sway the election into any particular direction, or no?
Well.
Okay, that's all I needed. That's all I needed on that. Okay, I'm curious.
I got a feeling that like a lot of governments go and a lot of everyone's government.
Yeah, that's fine. So, do you think that WikiLeaks played a certain side politically? I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Which side do you think they played into politically?
Well, I don't think they were on Hillary's. Sure.
Okay.
They published the leaks.
All right, I was just curious. All right, do you have any other final memes for us or anything?
Well, yeah, you misconstrued a lot of my statements, but that's okay.
Well, what do you think I misconstrued?
Well, because you think, like, I just told you that I'm not pro at everything he does, and you still don't want to hear it.
You said you're not pro everything he does, right?
But you said that
it. Well, I mean, unless you're lying to me, I'm taking you at your word. I don't think you believe in tequila or whatever that says you can lie for your Twitter faith. So, I mean, I imagine you're probably against Trump when he says authoritarian statements. It sounded like you were, so...
Well, yeah, and that's why I admire the government that you guys have, and that's why I want to move there, because even if he does stuff like that, there's still stuff in place to keep him from being able to, let's say, pull a Maduro or something.
Yeah, I agree. I think we have a good government. Yeah. Or for the most part, yeah. Maybe the Supreme Court's a little more too powerful, but all right.
The Trump thing, it's a very complicated thing. I wish he would be a drain the swamp thing. But he makes me doubt that all the time, so I don't really believe that he actually wants to drain the swamp. I think he wants to drain the swamp that doesn't want to help him.
Gotcha. Okay. Do you have are there any other statements you want to clarify or anything? I don't want to make you feel like I'm misconstruing anything.
Well, no, it's been a while now. I told you when I felt you.
Okay,
Is this even a woman?
I called it.
Gotcha. I understand. Well, for what it's worth, buddy, I think you're probably a centrist, or at least I don't think you play one side politically and are dishonest about it. If that makes you feel better, I don't think you do that.
Yeah, I'm definitely centrist. And I hope the trans thing, to be honest, I think it needs to be accepted better in society, and things will just move along better as that happens, you know?
Gotcha.
I just don't believe in, like, legislation everywhere. I think they should... Every school, like, let's say they have 6 bathrooms, well, they should take 2 of them and make them, like, no gender. And keep the other 4, keep 2 of them for the boys, 2 of them for the girls.
Okay.
Things like that, you know? Like, I guess not all schools have more than 2. I don't know how it works, but you'd have to go case by case, but...
Okay. All right, well, cool. All right, well, do you have any other final thoughts or anything you want to clear up for the stream or anything you want to leave us with? Any parting words? Any final words?
My question is, do you still think Christians are a big threat to the future of America?
How about I amend my statement and I say Christian belief? Would that be acceptable for you?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. I'll say Christian.
Better,
okay, I'll try to say Christian belief in my tweets from now on, okay? Since a lot of people identify as Christian,
look, it's
but
a
aren't
woman
like hardcore
neo-Nazi.
Christians.
Yeah, because, like, to me, because then after that, other people say they're Christians, and people are like, "You're Christian?" And then they start treating them like they're anti-trans and things like that, but they're not.
Okay, gotcha.
So I just want people less extremism. That's my goal.
Gotcha. All right. Well, thanks for the conversation, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for the conversation. That was interesting.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I'll see you around. Hopefully not in my Twitter mentions calling me a pedophile, but...
Well, I did say, if you didn't watch the video and said that without hearing it, then that means something else.
Gotcha,
But
I understand.
You didn't read that part.
I'm just
Maybe you were a bit, like, emotional from thinking that I'm calling Jews without saying that.
Maybe I thought you were a Christian, so I was instantly assuming the worst about you.
Maybe.
I
right.
think
Thanks for
meeting
the
with my
conversation, buddy. Have fun.
ex-boyfriend would be
Yeah,
less
you too. Good
painful than
continuation.
listening to
Yep.
that last
Bye-bye.
Bye.
debate.
So, if we try to tackle the subject matter in the most intellectually honest way possible, okay, we can pull out from everything that she said that there might be a somewhat legitimate point there, that there are a lot of people in the United States that identify as Christian that aren't necessarily a threat to LGBT rights, okay? So, I just thought of the best words. The best words. So maybe instead of saying Christianity is a bigger threat to the United States than Islam, I could say something like radical Christianity is a bigger threat to the United
you said
States
you were
than
done
radical
with debating
Islam.
no-name alt-right retards.
How about that?
That chick had sub 500 followers, subs, and you still subjected.
Listen, it was a fun conversation, okay? Except that weird ass shit with the Women's March. Yeah, but I felt like we held her to the points really well there. I feel like I held most of my points.
Destiny took the L.
In terms of